Very good idea.
Oh, damn, that sip is way too quiet. That's gonna get edited out noise compression. That's a shame. Anyway, hi, it's What's Up.
What's up?
Okay, well, first off, we should say this, because we always say this when we do this. This is What's Up number 75. So, as a special, because that's a nice big number, and we like to celebrate those every once in a while, we're doing a live episode, so this is live to public. So if you hear us talk to the chat more than usual or get distracted, it's because there's... it's only a What's Up, so there's only like twice as many people as normal listening live and talking to us. So that's the thing. But yeah, we've got some people here, and they'll probably filter in as time goes by, because What's Up is a very long show. So that's a one thing that you should keep in mind. I haven't actually watched The Irishman. But yeah, I guess, because I'm sure Lucky wants to drink his monster, I should go ahead and remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Ahio Comics, Kwa, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Den, Nestor Flores, Rogue Robin, Soda Sono 424, I'm doing every 75, and I tried really hard not to burp there. And that if you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon so you can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, including, if you're at the gold level or higher, you can listen to all our shows live as we do them. Like, if you're part of the listening public now, you can. And it really helps us out and stuff.
Thank you very much. That was juicy.
Careful. All right,
Nope.
we pre-gaming this one topic a little bit, so why don't we let's just start spicy. Let's fire right in and get pulled from syndication.
Sure, why not? Hang on. Okay. So let me grab this. So last week, actually 2 weeks ago, I told you about how Interspecies Reviewer was literally my favorite anime at this core for a variety of reasons. Then last week, news came down that Funimation has pulled it from their streaming service, and I got a little spicy and a little salty, not overly much, but I still got there. Now we get to this week, and Interspecies Reviewer is definitely making currents, in the underside of the internet. It's not making, huge news, but those of us in the anime community and the Wii community, you fucking know. You fucking know.
We're doing a simultaneous thing, because... So a lot of people in the last week or so were giving Funimation a lot of shit because they pulled Interspecies Reviewer. The words were usually quote-unquote, didn't they read the manga, know what they were getting into? Which is a different point, which we will probably talk about, because you actually have some of the manga now.
Yeah, I do.
Spoilers. But then it came out that Amazon Prime has pulled Interspecies Reviewer, and there was going to be a showing on TV Tokyo that was canceled and replaced with a show about boats. That's right.
Oh, shit, wrong.
Nice Boat is back. Which is a meme that if you don't know, Nice Boat is the finale of, I think it was School Days, was too intense for school and was not shown on TV and was replaced with a special about nice boats. So, yeah, we're back there. So yes, there is a lot of apparent pushback and pulling of the anime of Interspecies Reviewers from things and stuff.
Yeah, so this immediately tells me, again, this ain't something that is at Funimation's level or something, because it's getting pulled from multiple things, as we said. Oh shit, hang on. Testing out effort right now.
Well, maybe you should listen to one of the previous 2 weeks worth of Interspecies Reviewer.
But, and so, as I said last week, I was like, alright, I'm gonna stop giving my money to Funimation, I'm just gonna buy the manga and show support that way. Now, here's something that I'm finding real interesting. I actually talked about this from the business side. When I went to go buy, Interspecies Reviewers, the manga, from Amazon, Volume 1, which had a couple weeks ago had been fully in stock, no problems, only eligible for Amazon Prime, I should mention. When I went to go buy it Thursday. It was Thursday, because it arrived... No, it was yesterday, because it was 1 day shipping. I got 1 day shipping on one of them. I went to go buy it yesterday. Volume 1 only had 6 copies left in stock, then 5, because I bought one, and was not eligible for Amazon Prime. Volume 2 was, which is why I got it today. And I was just all like, even if this shit is getting pulled, a lot of money and stuff, especially for TV shows and whatnot, come from the sales of peripherals, like Blu-rays, manga, all that stuff. So from a business wise, this might be an unintended consequence. But Interspecies Reviewer, because it got pulled, is more popular now than it would have been. Like,
right. I believe
2 weeks
the manga licensor prepared banners, which was going to be almost too, I don't know, hot for broadcasting, and then they had to scratch out almost.
Well, which is also on point too. By the way, the publisher is Yen Press. It says so on this nice little thing.
So, at least one seller was like, well, this only helps our advertising. And Interspecies Reviewer appears to be being reverse review bombed, and it is now the #1 anime of all time.
Yeah, that's super weird. I don't like that. Honestly, I don't.
No, it's probably not. I mean, you like it a lot, but it's not that good. It was in competition with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is a very, very good anime.
Yeah.
By the way, if you've been seeing those memes, that's why it was a ratings thing. Because I think FMA Brotherhood was like 9.3 or something. It's really well reviewed, and I agree with it. It's one of my up there's personally. But I own all that on Blu-ray actually, Full Metal. But yeah, so like I said, there's the kind of the two arms of this, right? Like on the one hand, obviously this is literally too hot for TV. Yeah. It's reached a point where obviously it was untenable for certain outlets to broadcast it because, I don't know, is it just straight up porn? Who knows? I don't know. I'm looking at it now, I'm like, I don't know if I can actually make that distinction right now as someone who loves lewd things and and everything he does, you know? But then the second part is, obviously, presumably as the animation studio intended, this is not hurting their sales at all. Those uncensored Blu-rays are going to be like solid gold. All the manga is selling out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not in a bad position, which is interesting, because, like, obviously a lot of people are given a lot of flack to outlets which are pulling it, because everybody is horny on Maine, it's the internet.
Mm-hmm.
But also, at the same time, like, their efforts aren't hurting them at all, so, like, I wouldn't, like, especially now, since other outlets have pulled it from their catalog, and, like, it was decided to be pulled from airing on actual Japanese TV. Well, we should not throw stones, right?
Well, yeah, as I said, it wasn't pulled from everything.
But several Western streaming outlets were like, ooh, no, we can't do that. And like I said, it was gonna air, I don't know, some episodes, I think, because I don't think it's actually airing on TV.
No.
It was just, like, gonna air an episode as, like, a promo or something, and it was pulled off TV Tokyo, I believe.
Yeah, it was pulled off TV Tokyo, but I think ATX is still doing it, but I think ATX is a streaming service, and they're known for streaming uncensored things.
Yeah, if that's your marketing, right. Because that is the thing. Like, while I think some outlets are more okay with certain things than others, there's also, you know, there's definitely there's an appearance thing, because there is a lot of old conservative elements in the States who are like, once you're a smut thing, you're bad. Like, and if you don't think that's true, think about all the shit everybody talked about Steam for finally allowing explicit games, and how Epic Game Store was so much better about that.
Yeah,
it's clearly
remember, Epic Game Stores made that a selling point of theirs.
Yeah, which is super bullshit, considering they're supposed to be like, ooh, the market's even more free. Look at all the extra money we get. So it's okay for Steam to steal more money from porn game developers? I don't know, whatever. Yes, we're a puritanical nation, and it sucks in a lot of ways.
Yes, Interspecies Reviewers, it's like, again, for people who don't know, because the Apache helicopter is all like, I don't know what this is. Basically, the basis of Interspecies Reviewer is basically a couple of adventurers go around to monster go brothels and bang them, and then make reviews on them. The Apache helicopter says, seems degenerate, and I'm like, yeah, it is, but I love it. It's great. It's funny.
And I mean, let's not be shy. There's a lot of really raunchy comedies out there, which are pretty famous, and some of them are really crappy by today's standards. If you watch some of those classic, 70s and 80s movies, and you're like, whoa, that is not okay. Which I don't think ISR is really that bad in that respect, from what it sounds like.
Yeah, but so
obviously there is a little bit of an aspect of branding, where you're like, you don't want to be associated with that. Meanwhile, on Pornhub, they'll like literally show anything, but they can do that because they're Pornhub and they don't care.
Sometimes they don't even show porn. It's great.
But so obviously then the TV thing comes in and you're like, ooh. Now I believe I don't know. Do you have another point about the pulling you want to get into? Because I was going to talk about the manga, and apparently there's some differences to the anime.
No. Well, I guess there is a point. Like, again, I think we mentioned this last week. We always have to keep in consider, even though you require to be a certain age, quote unquote, to, sign up for streaming services and whatnot. Once you get past that, there is no actual age gate mechanic for streaming sites.
Yeah, and while I understand that PayPal is still a little dodgy about that, which could be bad for them because that's the thing. I've heard this, that part of the reason why, for instance, Patreon tried to go through some overhauls with payments, a couple years back. There's a lot of porn on Patreon, even though they need to make sure you gate it so that only patrons can see it and stuff or whatever, so that they can do proper age gating. Credit card companies and groups like PayPal really fucking hate porn, and most of it's a business thing, just because, I don't know, there's some kind of, I assume it's an urban legend about people canceling a lot of porn purchases on their credit card statements because they don't want anybody to see them. While I understand that people could be that self-hating, I'm like, who the fuck's looking at your credit card statements like that? And also, I'm personally like, there's no way porn companies aren't smart about that, right? Like, they have to know. They have to know they're in that kind of a weird gray area and not label, whatever. I could come up with some titles, but I'm like, I'm gonna get fucking demonetized. Anyway, but that's the urban legend, right? So it is my understanding that no, credit card providers do not like that. So if you accidentally get branded as a porn platform, that could be bad for your business in more than one way. So, like you said, there's no age gating, and that is just an unfortunate quality of our millennial existence. Even our Gen Z existence, we're just like everybody's talking about, oh, the kid spent £1,000 on his parents' credit card. I'm like, how does this kid know your fucking credit card? How? But he does. And that's how it is. That used to be the great stopper. When I was a kid, when I was like 12 or 13 or older, I didn't know my parents' credit cards for obvious reasons and couldn't just charge on them. So, to me, I don't understand that at all, but apparently people just do that these days, so I yanked on my mic cord a little, so that was probably loud. Anyway,
alright guys, I gotta take a picture here to show you guys, so I'm gonna turn off
Lucky's taking some evidence, but yeah, so I kind of understand that, like you said, if there's no explicit age gating feature and you don't want to just do that just for one show, no matter how popular it is, you can see the technical, but a lot of people, like we said, we're throwing stones about, oh, didn't they read the manga? Well, Lucky, you have the manga right now.
Yeah. So, hang on. I'm taking two pictures here right now. I'm gonna post them in our general chat for you all to see. One moment. So let me tell you, NSP's Reviewer is not a long manga. It only has 3 volumes to be exact, plus one more, which seems to be some fun little extra bits. Now, as I said, I only got volume 2 here. And I was actually kind of fucking surprised here because I made a point about it earlier, and honestly, I was actually kind of shocked myself when I actually saw the volume length, the volume size. So, hang on, they're uploading now. So everyone who's in our Discord listening, please take a look at general chat.
And depending on the size of these images, I might actually be able to pull them up and make part of them the.
Well, as if you need different pictures, but if you look at that volume, this is a really small volume.
No, that's like typically what you see out of a light novel, like a single volume of a light novel.
Yeah, this is
the very thin productions.
Yeah, like I can literally my volumes of the light novels that time I got reincarnated as a slime is like 3 times that size.
Yeah, I think we can actually say that because you said you were going to do it. You actually did get me the 2 volumes of the Saga of Tanya collected. They're real book sized. They're actually bigger than some of the other paperbacks I have sitting on my bedside table.
So they're trying to turn, this is the point that Omega is probably leading into. They're trying to turn 3 volumes of these sized books into a 12 anime season. There needs to be those and as I said, that means things have to be put into motion, things have to be given sound, things need to be given context, all that stuff, transitions and stuff. They have to build upon what the source material has. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your frame of reference, that means they have to basically expand upon what the series already is. What the series already is lewds and jokes.
Spicy.
Spicy.
So, yeah, several people, at least one of our regulars in the anime manga chat, pointed out that the anime is actually spicier than the manga. And I don't know if you you only saw part of it censored, and also I believe you're holding the second volume, so I don't know if the content matches up, but you could skim through the manga and tell me how spicy it is.
I don't, let's see here. I have to open it up. It's sealed in plastic. I'm all like, let me see here.
But yeah, so that's an obvious that like a lot of people were like, wow, didn't they know what they were getting into? It sounds like a yes but no situation.
Well, it's also a yes but no, because I guarantee you, the animation studio didn't make this fucking thing in secret.
No, and that's probably why it got pulled now, because I'm presuming their partners were starting to see, scripts and even pre-production on upcoming episodes and go, oh, so this is just going to keep at this pace or get quote-unquote worse as it goes on. That means we're going to have to start editing this more and more heavily. That's not really worth it. Why don't we just say that, like, this license has turned out not to work for us and pull it, rather than us have to 4Kids this shit.
Yeah, I said that.
Or another common term in the anime world, to massacre something. Which I can look at the etymology on that, because that's TV tropes trope.
But, so, like, as I said, like, I can't fault anyone on this. Because, as I said, like, clearly Interspecies Reviewers, even though it was only 3 volumes, was popular enough to warrant a very good animation adaptation. Like, as I said, it's nothing, like, super phenomenal, but it's good. I would even say great. And, as I said, I think some people, I don't know how, everyone, they always have this thoughts, but I don't know actually how fucking, how services know about things before they air them. Do they, not watch it, or do they just read, the synopsis?
Considering this stuff is being produced we always hear about making sure animation is finished and whatnot and all that, so, a lot of this stuff isn't done when it goes to air date, right?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing where you hear about some shows will get delayed because they have things that the guys are talking about working on the elements. So we don't know how many episodes they worked up before, and since the licensing deal was struck, we don't know how far in advance the deal comes through.
Yeah, I gotta find out where I can find some.
But there's a lot of technical business aspects to this trade that we don't know about. But I presume the process is you're Funimation, you're an outlet for licensing and dubbing and stuff, and you get to see who's producing what in the next core, because they announce it officially, and then you probably do some research on titles and approach people through your business contacts, or, I don't know, it may even be in such a position that some of the studios they've worked before with will approach them and be like, hey, do you want to license this? And presumably there's some, fact-finding missions, some due diligence, but they're... I bet a lot of that due diligence is, well, what's the source material if it's got a source material? And there's probably some research intern who skims all the stuff really quick. Or, they ask Japan for, a packet of publicity and some early, behind-the-scenes material stuff that nobody can see ever, or will fucking stab you. Don't break NDAs, kids.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna guess that if the truly this is more advanced than the source material, it probably was at a point where they're like, okay, we can, maybe they see some early production skills if it's not stills and stuff, if it's not ramping up. They see some sample animations. They see some, publicity reel or whatever, and they're like, okay, that's cool. And then we get to the actual content, and it starts to stress them, maybe we need to edit this, maybe we need to work on that. Because the thing to think about is to think about advertising, too, when you're prepping promos for stuff and organizing, selling a product, like you do, because as far as I know, actual TV stations and other outlets in Japan don't own the studios, right? They're just as far as I know, TV Tokyo doesn't own another animation studio, or if they do, I haven't heard of it. So it's not say on TV here in the US where ABC Studios will produce a show for ABC Channel and they're involved all the way top to bottom. And I don't know, if somebody does know better about, who actually owns some of these studios, let me know. But as far as I know, more animation studios seem to be owned by, big media conglomerates like Bandai Namco, Sony, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And some of them are more small. some of them are smaller and independent rather than being wholly owned, so they have to, like, make deals with, say, Netflix to produce their series and stuff like that. But the point I was going to get to was that I don't know if necessarily that's something you lean into in the ad reel, is like how explicit it gets, right? Because I heard this commentary about My Hero, which I haven't watched today's episode yet either, but that like the current like sub arc of episodes we're going into right now was not really in promo materials or advertising anywhere, and some people have said that, you know, the animation looks a little sketchy, so it's entirely possible that like they did not advertise this because they're like, it's just a couple of episodes, we'll move through it and move on to other stuff where we've put our effort, our budget of time and resources. Because apparently some people in the anime fandom get a little spicy if you talk about budget as if it's just throwing money at the problem. But, which, okay, sure, nothing is just throwing money at a problem, but it's a combination of money, talent, and time. That's basically a formula for everything, honestly, money, talent, and time.
Well, honestly, money is usually directly related to talent and time as well.
Yes, but that's the thing, is if you throw more money at it, you can cover a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy better shit so you need less time, or you can pay to hire even more talent so you can spread it out evenly, but some people don't have that luxury. But yeah. So it may just be that the studio producing Interspecies Reviewer, which I don't know what studio that is or what else they've done. Lucky might know or can look up.
I will look that up right now.
But it may just be that when approaching licensing partners and trying to get deals to like get their shit distributed, that maybe they didn't lean into this aspect of the advertising, and who knows, maybe they didn't know yet, because again, we don't know where in the timeline the production and the marketing happens.
That's right. Yeah, it was done by Passion, or however you pronounce it, Passione. And they don't have a lot of stuff under their belts, but they do have some interesting stuff. They did Roka, Brave of the Six Flowers. They did Citrus. They did Wasteful Days of High School Girls. Hinaka Note. Like, from what I can say, they only have 9 series ranging from 2012 to now. So they're not big dick swinging. They're not big dick swinging in animation, but it seems like they put a lot of work into what they do.
Well, hopefully they make bank on those Blu-ray sales. Which I'm sure they will, because those are usually super expensive anyway. But
yeah, I know, I'm buying them.
So,
I'm buying
and honestly, from the shows you mentioned, those sound like more. Some of them might be a little spicy, but those sound more like slice of life high school stuff. So this is a little bit of a departure for them.
Well, I can tell you right now, Citrus is about is a fucking Yuri manga.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I knew Citrus. So I'm like, I remember Citrus, but also it is also a modern slice of life thing. So I'm like, so they're not averse to titillation, as it were, but also this does seem to be a slightly higher step. So I don't know, was it a passion project, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is somebody in the studio buddies with the guy who draws and writes, assuming that it is one person, because sometimes that's multiple people, of the original manga.
I'm checking Interspecies Reviewer on Wikipedia. It says its genre is sex comedy.
Nah, it's a thing. I talked about it. There's sex comedies.
Yep. Let's see here.
Hold on, That's actually a Wikipedia article.
It is.
Oh boy, they got a lot of funny stuff in here. They mention Animal House, which is one of those movies that's a classic, but also oh boy. Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there it's a very classic genre. Oh boy.
Well, they have this whole section on Japanese.
Yeah, I was about to say. So apparently, there's a whole section on Japanese sex comedy. So yeah, no, that fits. So yeah, and maybe it's just it got a little too, like I said, it got a little too spicy. And these days, it's generally seen as not cool to completely butcher a localization or translation just to make it fit inside your watershed.
Yeah, so
and that's another thing I want to talk about is that we've not mentioned, but as far as I know, streaming is a little bit of a Wild West. You really don't want to be the guys the FCC decides to blow the fuck up. Hi, YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I could also see where Amazon and like Funimation are like, oh boy, we really don't want to be the reason why somebody in Washington decides they need to do something. That would be bad. Because then the government gets involved, and that's just a whole new level of suck. Oh, I boinged.
You boinged.
But yeah, we've been talking about Interspecies Reviewer for about 25 minutes.
Well, as I said, I think my final thoughts is, at this point, now that I'm seeing more of this big picture, I really can't be mad. Like, anywhere.
Yeah, it's not
like,
really a thing to be mad about. Maybe a little confused, maybe a little disappointed, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, like
angry.
Like I know there's a lot of people who are like spicy about this, and I'm just like, I want to know more than anything. I just want to know what pulled the trigger on this. That's like all I want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a particular episode in the pipeline where everybody's like, "Ooh, well, shit, we can't show that."
Yeah, Discard. We talked about that earlier. How people are literally reverse review bombing it.
Like, all I'm just wondering is there a penis in there somewhere? If there's a penis, then it's game over.
Well, I mean, there is slime girl sex with tentacles to another girl. That was in episode 3.
That seems to be about the point where everybody was like, maybe we need to pull this, and then,
yeah. Episode 3 was the one where they actually had to do full fade to blacks.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't know. I said, I can't.
And then
be mad
it was like, if they realized, oh shit, every episode now for the rest of time we have to fade to black. That's like, oh shit, that's a pain in the butt. Well, yeah, Discard. I think the thing is now, nobody's got the license anymore. I don't think everybody's ditched it from their catalog.
I think. Let me check. I think. Hang on, let me check something here real quick. I know it's gone from
which we've talked back and forth about the nature of witchcraft. But that's one of those things where, like, nah, dude, if nobody's licensing this at all, well, you got to do what you got to do, because fuck, man.
Okay, so yeah, I knew it was on Funimation. Apparently, it was also on Amazon,
right?
And Amazon did have to pull it, and it's actually interesting. They still have it listed, and it says our agreements with the content provider do not allow purchases of this title at this time.
So maybe Amazon licensed it through somebody. That would be interesting.
Yeah. So I'm like, again,
did Amazon like rebuy it from Funimation? That would be interesting.
I don't know. Again, I have questions and no way to get answers.
No, sadly. And we've talked about this before. I think you even said this on a stream. True transparency is often, especially with business, a bad idea because even if it's a smart business decision, it probably sounds really shitty to just be like, yes, it would not be cost effective of us to pay editors to censor this, and also it would make people really mad, so we decided to just pull it and accept that they would be mad anyway, you know?
Real talk, Discard, if you practice witchcraft or, you fly the colors, you're gonna have no problem seeing interspecies reviewers. They had uncensored fusions on various sites already, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna continue.
Well, yeah, especially now. Like, they're the outlet. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But a little bit of transparency, like, at least honesty, goes a long way, right? Like, a little bit of just, we would have continued having to censor it, and that wouldn't have fit our values as a company or whatever. People would throw stones about, Sony ownership. Because that's another topic that's gained some controversy, because apparently ever since Funimation has been rolled in with Papa Sony, a lot of people are like, they're the devil now. They're evil. Their dubs are including localized jokes. They weren't in the Japans. And they're censoring stuff. And then there was also there's a lot of funny, ecchi stuff in Funimation's back catalog. What's the problem with ISR? Well, I don't know. If there was explicit slime girl sex on screen, that's probably over somebody's line. Yeah.
But as in, can't be mad. I'm probably not gonna, like I said last week, like I was spicy enough to cancel my Funimation. I'm like, nah, I'm not, because I said, like, at this point, I don't think it was entirely in Funimation's hands.
Yeah, now that this has come out, it's very clear that this is not just in Funimation's basket. This is like, multiple people are seeing this and going, like we said, ooh, this is too spicy for TV.
Yeah. But so you look out this time, Funimation. This time.
I shall continue. I need to watch the Babylonia episode. And they got some other stuff on their catalog I'll watch sometime when I'm not super busy with other stuff.
Yeah, I actually spent most of my morning watching anime, including Babylonia and My Hero Academia. Inspector, I watched a fuck ton of Oda Cinnamon Nobunaga, which is a really weird show, but it makes me laugh, so it's okay. What else did I watch today? I don't fucking remember. It's only like 4 hours ago. I'm like, I fucking forgot.
Alright.
Let's see here.
Well, I drank an entire coffee, so I want to take a quick break and be right back. And
I drank an entire monster!
He crushed it.
I crushed it!
Alright, well, we're live.
Mm-hmm.
We're back, so I don't know.
Was it Unit 731? I think that was the number.
But yeah, so we're back on. And apparently they want us to continue talking about anime controversies.
Yeah. So, fuck, I can't remember, like, I remember the fucking, the context around it, but I don't have specifics. I gotta pull up a fucking name here. So, basically, in the latest manga of My Hero Academia, one of the villains' names came to, light. So, hang on one second while I try and pull it up. Ah, here it is. So, basically, Boku no Hero Academia was removed from the Chinese market after a naming controversy. So, one of the characters, a villain, he's this mad, doctor type. His name is Maruta Shiga. Now, interestingly enough, the name Maruta is the same as a code name for, a detachment in World War II, also known as Unit 731.
Because in case you didn't know, the Japanese were very, very bad during that war and did lots of war crimes. Some of which they won't admit they did.
Yeah, no, like, full-on, like, biological and chemical, experimentation on people. And this unit was based primarily in China, using, Chinese prisoners and stuff. And I haven't read too much about what Unit 731 did, but, like, I do know, like, they would basically forcibly expose people to STDs. They would drop biological like diseases into like villages and whatnot.
One of the many reasons that Japan and China are still mad at each other to this day.
Yeah. So the fact that the character was named Maruta Shiga, a lot of people drew connections to him being a mad scientist, biological doctor, and the war crimes of that time.
And well, Lucky, I think we're probably... if you said that people might not agree with you about this, so I'm wondering if you will actually agree, if we're going to agree, because my first thought is, but he's a villain, though.
Yeah, he is.
And while some of the villains in My Hero Academia are deep, but they are explicitly called villains. And actually, it's a super big deal that the manga had the gall to associate the Yakuza with villains, right? Because Yakuza are still a big social organization who also do some crimes in Japan. So, like, that's kind of a oddly socially aware thing to admit. And so it's probably the same as this. It's just like, man, wow, that's a little on the nose to possibly acknowledge that happened and that there's a bad man who is who's associated with this thing. But I'm like, he's a bad guy. Like, villains are bad guys. And let's be real. If you want to talk about classic comic book tropes, Nazis and shit are all kinds of bad guys. Hi, have you met the Red Skull? Yeah, I know you're kind of right, Discard. China, because they have such a large population and they have a lot of economic power, being a major manufacturing center. They are very quick to try and big dick swing on people and be like, "Whoa, are you implying something possibly negative about our culture that we find to be unresolved?"
Yeah, so
fuck you. America, did you advise people not to travel to our country because there's a deadly outbreak of a virus going on here? And it's
are you kidding? I've seen speaking of that, I've seen videos of flights from China landing in places, and they have people in hazmat suits spraying down people with disinfectants.
Yeah, no, the WHO is like, okay, don't go full blown panic, but maybe a little panic. And so the US issued a travel advisory, which is like, yo, dog, don't go to China. And China was like, whoa, America, you are vastly blowing this out of proportion and are in fact full blown panic. And I think it's a little spicy.
Yeah, like, well, as I said, there's definitely a spicy take going here because, like, as people have like been saying in our chat, the author has been receiving a lot of backlash about this, and like up to and including death threats.
Not even uncommon for Asian internet culture.
Yeah, as I said, like, whew.
I don't know. I gotta be honest. I'm not afraid to. While I'm not pro war crimes, and nobody should ever say that I am, I'm also not afraid to flip the bird at China because they're not great people.
Also, like I said, this is probably the thing that like Lucky is probably going to be most controversial. And like I can understand that, you people as a nation has had bad things happen to them in their histories and whatnot. But at the same time, at some point, you gotta fucking let it go.
Well, yeah, I don't know what because we're doing that thing we're doing where we're doing an unexpected topic and we haven't thought our thoughts out. So,
yeah.
Give me some credit that, we're not complete assholes, we're just very fresh to this, but,
yeah.
Japan and the US are pretty tight. We kind of did a lot of bad stuff to them, with firebombs and nukes and stuff.
Yeah, not people always remember the nukes. They don't know remember the fucking night bombings of Japan.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We weren't great people. I mean, okay, so you can say theoretically we were trying to be nicer by attacking all their infrastructure so they would stop sending waves and waves of guys to shoot at us, but they didn't. But it was still pretty fucking brutal. Because everything in Japan is made of wood. Yeah. We also flattened literally all of Germany's military infrastructure. But we're pretty tight now, so they've managed to forgive and forget a little, maybe.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know that Japan is staunchly anti-nuclear, and with good reason. They are the only country who can say they have been nuked. But at the same time, they seem to be middling with it,
Well, like I said, especially when you think that we had fucking Japanese internment camps here in the U.S.
Yeah. We weren't great either.
No.
And also, you know what? China, you're not great. When you became the People's Republic of China, you did a lot of bad things. You did a lot of things. And possibly there have been some conversations about some human rights violations in the Hong Kongs. But
it's looking as a person, I say you gotta look at things from all sides, especially in such thing. In wars, no one does good things. No one.
We've had this conversation a lot, usually because we play games about war.
Yeah. Actually, interesting fact, do you know why they're fucking, I actually read about this recently, in World War I, unrestricted German warfare, this became one of the things happens because fucking Britain decided to do a full-on blockade of fucking Germany and block all their food in an attempt to starve them out.
Yeah, the Brits are remarkable. They have a shitload of good publicity. They were not great.
No.
They did shit like the Q ships and disguised ships. There was another famous incident where before unrestricted U-boat warfare, a German submarine pulled over a ship, basically an American transport, to search it for war material. And a British Navy cutter pulled up beside them and jumped on board with cutlasses and stabbed the whole crew. And it made it back to the American papers. This was part of the reason why we weren't super keen to get in the war, because, man, it sounded real shitty. Mm-hmm. And honestly, part of that's, Germany not thinking right. They have a lot of problems with supply, because they don't have any fucking coastline.
Nope.
They should have thought about that earlier. But yeah, so, there's, like you said, there's not a lot of good works in war. It's not a nice thing.
No.
But also, that region is really spicily charged. Actually, that's a good question. I don't know anybody from Central Europe, but you happen to be from certain European regions. Do you know if everybody's over Russia? Because when they were the Soviet Union, they were kind of assholes in that post, World War period. And as far as I can tell, most people are still mad at Japan for World War II, even though we did completely dismantle that government and do lots of stuff to get rid of that. Nobody seems really mad at the Germans anymore. We did the same thing to them. They are no longer the Third Reich and all that after a lot of restructuring. I don't know.
Anytime an old Nazi supporter comes up, someone who was actually a part of it, the world literally flips its shit and starts screaming for the guy to get a death threat.
Yeah, well, the modern Germans are. I suppose that's part of it. Is the modern Germany is even more anti-Nazi than we are. They're like, whoa, you cannot do that. We will put you in fucking jail if you so much as say the word swastika. We will do something very unfortunate to you. They're very serious. Okay, that's interesting. So Art, who is actually, if I remember rightly, is actually in Europe. There's they know some people who still aren't over Germany. I could see that.
Yeah, I can believe it.
All right, so it kind of South Korea and Japan have a really shitty relationship because of World War II.
Russia and Japan also have a really shitty relationship because of the Russo-Japanese War. Yeah.
That's because they tried to be imperial at each other and got in a pissing match, and Russia did terribly. They really sucked it up. There's a lot of very funny stories about the naval side of that conflict. And yeah, I guess Europe has a lot of those classic, like, there's a lot of classic rival between the British and the French, even though they're ostensibly allies, because they also fought a lot. So I guess it makes sense. It's just weird because over here in America, we're physically isolated from all this, and are we really mad about anything? Like, we're a little saucy with some people, but like,
well, that's because like we never actually had a war touch our shores.
No, and when they tried, man, we went pretty hardball after that whole 9/11 thing. We were in there.
Like here's the thing. I think that what a lot of people say is
that was Lusitania.
Yeah,
that's how we got into World War I. Was like Germany was trying to knock on our door, and we were like,
well, no, here's the funny thing about that, because I read about this. Lusitania, Germans, even the Germans are like, Americans, please do not board like passenger vessels with this. Like, they're disguising shit and whatnot.
Yeah, like, but then still, there was the civilians, and then there was the Zimmerman telegram, which even though the Mexicans were busy with the Civil War and decided not to, that like,
yeah,
the German Foreign Office was trying to get Mexico to attack our southern border, so we couldn't join it, and America was like,
well, like again, as I said, like,
well, we've had enough of this shit.
Like I said, no one does good things. It's like, it's all propaganda, press manipulation, and fucking all that stuff, and everyone fucking does.
And let's not paint the Germans as too innocent either. The occupation of Belgium, for instance, was super shitty because that was a modern European country. They occupied like it was. They treated it like a European, like a colony in like Africa or Asia, which the civilized Europeans were not used to, and it was really bad. They burned a lot of books, which is not cool. Like, war is a rough time.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, when I found out that I was like a majority like like other than being black, German is my other major blood. I did a lot of reading into German history, and there's a lot of articles that try to reduce the amount of propaganda that was done on Germany in World War I and
But
II.
Yeah, so basically, I think the ultimate version of this is nobody should ever get over the burning of Alexandria. That was bad news bears. No, the ultimate still not over it is Carthago de Landa Est. Furthermore, I think Carthage should be destroyed. So I guess on the one hand, if you go far enough back in history, everybody has those long-standing grudges. The Romans were still butt mad about the Carthaginians for several wars. So on the one hand, I can kind of understand that it's only been like 100 years. China is still a little saucy, and like we said, the Japanese government has not done very well about acknowledging we did a bad. Sorry. But at the same time, like you said, there's also at a certain point you do have to kind of live and let live, because what are you gonna do? Are you gonna like punch Japan in the dick? You gonna cross that ocean again?
Mm-hmm.
Which didn't ever work out for the Chinese when they tried that. I think it only worked out for the Mongolians, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those were the only actual invasions of the Japanese islands. Because technically, we didn't even invade the home islands. That's why we dropped the bombs. Yes, discard. Japan had the whole Asian co-prosperity sphere. There's a reason why we had to fight over all those islands in the Pacific Theater, because they took a lot. It was a legit concern that the Imperial Japanese were going to invade Australia and New Zealand.
Yes, it was
yes, historically, yeah.
Yeah, that was Hideyoshi. No, it was Hideyoshi, who was all like, I want fucking Korea!
Yeah, so the Koreans and the Japanese have some conflict going way back. The Chinese and the Japanese do also, even though ethnically Japan is just kind of bootleg China.
Oh yeah, so the Apache helicopter actually pointed me out to the Lasonia incident. Basically, a German U-boat sunk a British troop ship, and did rescue operations and was basically taken to the Red Cross, neutral. When basically U.S. forces saw them and decided to start fucking bombing them.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
Though, funnily enough, I do believe the only time, at least in World War I, because they always have that scene where you machine gun the lifeboats, that was actually a thing a young German U-boat captain did on accident. Well, not on accident, but like he did it in a panic because he was a young officer and he accidentally blew up a neutral ship and was like, nobody can know. And then somebody figured it out.
I think there was another one like where I think it happened over in the Pacific Theater where they like shot down survivors because they were afraid they would try and take the ship.
Yeah, and that's the other thing we should talk about. War's a really chaotic, shitty situation. Like, we live in a privileged age where
really
even then
do.
there's still a lot of chaos. So there's a lot of kerfuffle, and there's a lot of people who maybe should not be in leadership positions, especially if you go back in time enough.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, my final thought is like this is like, I can understand why some people are upset about this, but at some point you have to let the hate go.
Right, and the idea that a subject is so untouchable that you can't talk about it at all, you can't even reference it, is like, I don't know, that's always been wrong to me, that you can't even, like, I understand that, like, letting people fade to obscurity in history and whatnot approach, but at the same time, like, if you can't acknowledge the past at all, that's not right, because then you can't ever talk about it and discuss it, right?
Well, yeah, well, as I said, hate only begets more hate.
So, like,
yeah.
Anyway.
So that's
well, we're about 50 minutes, so we're almost at Devilish's prediction where he called it the anime controversy power hour.
Yeah, he's right. I don't know. We got any last ones? Probably not.
And we got any controversy about anime you want to talk about? Probably not, because I think we've touched on all the subjects we know. That was also, honestly, that was less about anime and more just about history as a tapestry of people being shitty to each other.
Well, as I said, media reflects, media reflects, our cultural values and history and whatnot. Ugh. But, yeah, so, like, speaking of wars, he, as Mega mentioned, I did buy him, 2 volumes of Saga Tani Evil, because I'm gonna make sure he doesn't forget about Mages of War. Were you able to pick them, or read any of them yet?
No, they continue to mock me.
See, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to keep sending you the books and the volumes so the pile gets bigger, and you're just gonna have this, like, ever-growing pile of books. Just be like, read.
That will get me eventually. It's just, the backlog will be like, it's too much. Somebody asked about a thing about Scotsman. I'm like, I don't have that. I do have the version with Mandalorian, the edit of Mandalorians, though. Because that's a joke about Mandalorian culture, that they're very mad and they fight things.
Oh, shit. That reminds me. We can talk about that a bit. So, last week, before we went to game, my buddies were all like, hey, let's go get, some hearty-ass fucking, country, southern country food and go see a movie. I'm like, well, what movie? Let's go see fucking Star Wars. I'm like, it's still in theaters? And they're like, fuck yeah. All right, let's do it. So I went to go see it.
Because I'm sure a lot of people wanted to go see it after there was, like, a lot of controversy about it once again.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is.
So I went to go see it, and this might shock some of you, but I actually surprisingly liked it. Like, I don't know. Like, it felt just like it was proper Star Wars. There was, themes, there was thoughts, there was the Force. I like the fact that my boy Finn was fucking Force sensitive. Yeah. That made me happy. Fucking seeing, Rey and Kylo be fucking Force bonded and, like, passing shit between each other some fucking way. I was like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, those were, I think I mentioned it before on mic, that, like, some people were concerned that, like, the movie kind of negated a lot of stuff about The Last Jedi. I'm like, but no, all the coolest scenes in The Rise of Skywalker only work because of the stuff from The Last Jedi, because those really are some of the sickest scenes of the passing and the, like, the I mentioned it before when we were talking on before we're doing RP stuff, the spinning shot between, like, the ground and Kylo's, like, room.
Yeah, his quarters.
And also it's not a meme for ants, it's just very large actually, so you have to open it up. So it's like, no, there was a lot of really beautiful shots. And like I said, a lot of people ragged on JJ as a bad director. I'm like, I don't want to talk about the screenwriting. Because that, you can, and I have my own thoughts and feelings about the fact that it's 2 movies crammed into one, because it is, but that's also, like, that is kind of Last Jedi's fault. I think I did say this before, that, like, Last Jedi was supposed to be the second act of a trilogy, which means you need to put most of your conflict and action in it, and it really doesn't.
It seems like JJ was trying to make up for a lot of lost time in the third movie.
Yeah, and, like, obviously, I think I said this, would I have liked it if all 3 movies had just been directed by one guy and they could have had a solid through line? Yes. There was some things, because there's a script floating around for something called Duel of the Fates, which is supposed to be Trevorrow, the guy who did Jurassic World and pulled out of doing movie 3. Like, his treatment for the third movie which on the one hand sounds like it has some interesting concepts, but also at the same time, I think it would have kept Kylo Ren as the big bad. And I'm like, dude, though, I'm if you haven't seen it, it's been like 2 months, but spoilers for Rise of Skywalker, I guess. But like, I'm kind of sad he dies in the end, because when he becomes Ben Solo, that's like my favorite character in the movies, is when he goes back to just being Ben. Like, I talked about this. I love that scene where he just jumps and hops on a chain and just goes, ah! Like, he is so Han Solo in that moment. Like, the way he dresses, like, I know some people made fun of it, but no, he's like wearing pants and like a long sleeve shirt. He shrugs. He's being his dad, basically, and he's great at it.
Like, honestly, I'm kind of like, when fucking Hans showed up again, I was just like,
yeah, they got, that's pretty cool that they got Ford back.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, and like you said, even if it was cheap nostalgia grabs, it worked for me, man. Though, like, the beats with the Death Star were really good. All the stuff with Leia
seeing the throne room again.
Yeah, and they play the little ominous music. And then, like, all the stuff with Leia made me incredibly sad for obvious reasons.
I like how they confirmed that Leia wasn't actually almost a Jedi.
Yes, they went back and were like, "Nah, dude, she had a lightsaber. She was cool."
Yeah, she decided not to, though.
Yeah, because she thought it would go poorly for her, but she had a lightsaber. It's cool, and they also got to show off Luke's Return of the Jedi lightsaber, because there's a lot of fluff made about Anakin's lightsaber.
That brought Mark Hamill back too, and he's just all like, "What the fuck you doing, Ray?"
Also, hey, I think I mentioned this. You want to know the scene that made me shed a single tear? When Luke lifts that fucking X-wing out of the water.
No, I'm right there with you.
I'm like, oh my god, the X-wing! He did the thing. Because because
you remember back in fucking
that's Empire, is where he can't lift it.
He can't lift it, and you see he can lift it, and then Rey takes off, and she's wearing the fucking Rebel helmet.
Yeah, that was a thing she did in Force Awakens, so that's a connection back to the other trilogy. And also like you said, okay, sure, we talk about character arcs, but Luke just says, no, Rey, I was wrong. It was dumb of me to come back and live on this island. That wasn't the right thing to do. You should learn from my mistake here. And he shows that he completed character development by just lifting it up. I'm like, oh, it's so... And then that shot of the X-Wing and the TIE Fighter sitting together. Oh, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, okay, it's very fast-paced. Holy shit.
Yeah, but I feel like they wrapped this up into the original trilogy really well. Like...
Yeah, they bring back Palpatine, which gives it a proper through line, Because, like, I know some people were like, man, I want it to be different, but also it's like, it's kind of... Considering this is supposed to be 7, 8, and 9, that's kind of weird that it's truly different, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be one giant, like, saga.
It's supposed to be the Skywalker saga, which it kind of is, and, like, you can say it's kind of weird that Rey calls herself Skywalker at the end, but also, I feel like this was the most involved she was as a character, Like, discovering that she did in fact have a secret legacy, after all, and it was a shitty one, which is great.
Well, I think that's a great parallel to the original trilogy,
Right. And it's all about choices you make, which is, yeah, sure, it's a callback to Return of the Jedi, but still, that scene in Return of the Jedi is a powerful moment when Luke just throws down his fucking saber and is like, you can't turn me. Yeah. I am a Jedi like my father before me. Bring it on, Space Pants, and then he gets shot full of lightning, and it sucks, but still.
And then she double lightsaber, and it was great.
And just, like I said, the directorial part, the actors all, I think, did their parts really well. Everybody had really good range and emotion. Everybody seemed to do their thing.
I can understand why people were kind of laughing at Jumbo Goya's Ray! All the time, but honestly...
Yeah, and I don't know, I think Boyega feels a little salty about the final edit of the movie, too. But, like, at the same time, he's trying, and that was always kind of his thing, was, like, he's like a babu who discovered he has emotions, so he just feels everything very intensely throughout the series. And hey, like, honestly, guess what? He does stuff in this movie.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was gonna bet. Like, it literally starts out with him getting information, and then fucking Poe's doing the lights. Like, I'm sorry, like, it's fast paced, but I love the scene about the fucking
that's weird, but I like it just because once again it shows off the visuals in this movie are beautiful.
Yeah,
and I know some people are like, that's another thing is, I said this before, as an old EU fan, there's nothing in this movie that is truly new. Like Palp coming back from the dead, that was a comic. That was a couple different arcs, I think, in the old EU. He's super powerful in the Force, and he can, like, blow up entire fleets. That's not new either. Healing, that's not new at all. And in fact, they made sure to set up releasing an episode of The Mandalorian, which had Force healing, so that you weren't like, what? But yeah, it's like, so at the same time, I'm like, it's not new, but at the same time, damn, it looked good.
Like, so, like as I said, like, Lucky is not, like, deepest lore on Star Wars, so I go in there just like...
Honestly, I gotta be honest, deepest lore doesn't matter. Like,
yeah.
On the one, like, some people are like, it's really shitty that they're like, sigh, somehow Palpatine is returned, and then how? I don't know, dark science, Sith alchemy, cloning. And I always interpreted that as just take your fucking pick. Do you actually care why he's back? He's back, dude. And I'm like, honestly, no. I'm a longtime Star Wars fan. I have gone balls deep in this lore. I don't actually care how he's back. He's back. His line says it all. Actually, I should say it in the voice. The dark side is a pathway to many abilities some would consider to be unnatural. And I'm just like, okay, he did the meme. That's fine. That's all I need. Like, that's the thing. You can't say that, like, Lucky, you've said you're not super deep in the lore, so you admit you're kind of a casual fan. I'm not necessarily, and we're both in agreement. Like, I don't need them to, like, super justify stuff. I can just, much like I can accept an all-powerful force that binds all things together in the universe, I can accept the evil guy just comes back to life. Why not? It's fucking magic, nerds.
Like, you know, that's the thing. It's like, as long as it doesn't, like, completely break whatever, like, flow that the story has, I can accept just about anything in the moment.
And then, God, that fucking arena with the spooky ghost people. Yeah. Exegol is just a great design. Like, I know there were some concept arts that were a little more detailed, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, though, the like, lightning effects and stuff really worked.
Damn it. Oh, I guess I didn't turn off the actual lock screen. Fuck.
So, yeah, I don't know. We both like the movie, it turns out.
Yeah. That's it. Like I'm gonna say, I don't say I like it enough that, like, you know, I'm gonna go see it again, or this is, like, the Blu-ray or anything. But I liked it. Like, I liked it. It's like, I'm happy I went. And I'm hoping...
Yeah, like, if you want me to, like, rank the movies, like, obviously Rise of Skywalker's not at the top. That's... I think for me, that will always be A New Hope, aka just Star Wars. Just because I love that it's a complete piece from start to finish.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's a harsh competition between Rogue One and Empire Strikes Back. Because goddamn, I know some people are like the opening is slow, but man, I really love that fucking movie.
I think mine's probably Empire Strikes Back right now.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a legit number one because it is one of the most complex and satisfying ones. But like I said, I've just always really liked that A New Hope is just a complete story. That always appealed to me, that it's like, that's all the experience you need, because, you know, Empire Strikes Back does have that kind of big revelation cliffhanger, and then Return of the Jedi's got some slow points. I've got the Disney Plus, I need to actually go through and watch all of them again. But yeah, so that's Star Wars stuff. And I mean, that's a legit thing, or, like, some people are like, oh man, it was really slow. I liked the moments, though, and kind of the setting hopping between the different areas, and lots of movies could be polished up. Also, let's be real, the original Star Wars could also stand to be like 30 minutes shorter. Maybe not 30, but like, they're great for setting atmosphere, but man, there's a lot of long, slow shots of dudes walking in the desert. And I know it's just my millennial content ADD brain, but I'm just like, move it the fuck along, dude. I got it. It's a desert. It's empty. It sucks. It's mysterious. There's some weird tiny people in it who are absolute shitlords.
I do.
In case you didn't know, Jawas are fuckers.
I still love that at the end, when they see the soul crown, you still hear it, Houdini! And I'm just like, oh my god.
Oh, and I love Babu Frick.
Babu Frick is amazing. He's just like, hey!
Hey, Babu Frick! Oh, Babu Frick, he's one of my oldest friends.
I love Babu Frick.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I like it. Like I like all the characters. I feel like everyone got really good characterization in this, from like Poe and his like burgeoning force sensitive powers. You know, trying to find where he belongs. Poe trying to figure out like, you know, how to command and how to deal with this shit.
Yeah, Poe's still dealing with. He understands he has to be the leader, but he's not sure what that means still.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
Rey has to actually deal with the fact that, like, oh, it's not that you have no legacy. You're not a blank slate kid. You're a villain, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, fuck.
And fucking Kylo, like, honestly, I think Kylo's probably my favorite one.
Kylo's always been the most interesting character in these movies.
Yeah.
And, like, just dealing with the fact that, like, he's bad, but he wants to be good, but he wants to be bad because he's kind of a tryhard, and just and then figuratively he dies and comes back to life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene's got great choreography because like it shows that like their comparison, right? Like when in the first movie when Rey stays calm and Kylo freaks out, like she gets the upper hand for a little bit. But in the third one, it comes back around and Kylo's like, nah, dude, I'm perfectly calm right now.
I won't lie, I might have gasped real loud when Rey lightning bolt the fucking transport. I was like, no!
And I always, hey, because that's the thing they did in the EU. They used Chewie as a cheap kill to make you think it was serious. I was like, oh fuck, did they? I was like, but then my brain was like, wait a minute, weren't there two of those? So yeah, on the one hand, it comes back that she didn't, but I felt the emotional resonance. I was like, oh fuck, dude.
Yeah.
And I managed to avoid a lot of spoilers like you did, I guess. So I didn't know that was going to be a thing, and I was like, oh fuck, that's for reals. And like, well, I was just gonna say, yeah, if you want to pick apart the movie, it's got weird stuff, but that's another thing. Like, that's not an original sin to Rise of Skywalker. All the Star Wars movies are like that. They all have weird coincidences and just happenstance and shit.
Like, I don't know, if someone said, hey, let's watch the three, let's watch Star Wars 7, 8, and 9, I'd be like, okay, sure. Yeah. I'm not gonna... Yeah.
And honestly, if you power through them, like, you and I were not really that mad at Last Jedi either.
Nah. I was like, I always thought it could be better, but
I feel like it rings a little hollow because it's really long and not a lot gets accomplished per se, but I still like a lot of scenes in it. And it does actually raise interesting questions. And I know some people are sad that like Rise of Skywalker didn't go back to kind of ask those more questions, but also it's kind of that weird thing, right, where you're like, okay, so this is a trilogy, it's a trilogy as part of a what's the one for 9? Would that be Nontology? Nilogy? I don't know. Somebody find out what the wording is that is. But it's part of it's part of a trilogy, but also part of a 9-part saga. It has to have themes and questions that are related to the whole, right? Otherwise, why did you make it a numbered sequel? Because they are literally doing standalone movies and TV series now, so you can do independent productions, you know, which are very good.
I know Hex is 8 and 10 is Deca. I can't remember what fucking 9 is.
Well, I know for if you're 90, you're a nonagenarian, but that's 90. I'm like, I don't know if that's 9 per se.
Is it non? Fuck, now I gotta look up.
Yeah, it could be nonology.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Hey, whoa, this is a topic, X, because we're gonna keep going in Star Wars, and you're a part of it. You two are part of it. Because I got a lot of Star Wars stuff to talk about too. But
yeah, I think is it Nonagon? Let me see here.
Yeah, it could be not. Anyway,
yeah, there's 9 of them. Nonagon for a fucking plane for a 9.
So I guess it's a nonology.
Yeah, nonology.
Anyway, there's 9 of them. So yes, I understand that. Like, yes, The Last Jedi did actually ask some interesting questions about stuff. But I guess, like I said, the kind of my complaint was just it mostly just exists to ask those questions because Rian Johnson thought they were really interesting. And that's cool and all, but it also doesn't really go anywhere with them. And, like, had he written his whole own trilogy, or if it was, like, a standalone movie where the point was to make you ask these questions, cool. As, like I said, the Act 2 of a trilogy, rings a little hollow. And a lot of that Canto Bight stuff could really be cut down, because, like I said, there's a lot of just, this is the point, look at all the points I made. Okay, cool. Does it actually matter to anything? Nah, dude, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna send them back to where they came from, and nothing will change. Okay.
If there's one thing that I think bugs me the most about Rise of Skywalker is Captain Phasma has just vanished.
Oh no, yeah, they were just like, fuck, she just did. She did. They got her last time. They just gave up on trying to make her cool.
That makes me sad because I thought she was going to be a real interesting character.
They could have done more. Honestly, they've done stuff in like comics and novels. She's kind of a scumlord. Like, she's kind of a shit person. Her thing is that she will survive no matter what. So I guess that is kind of ironic they decided just to let her die. But also, she was always kind of just the Boba Fett. It's like, look at this cool armor.
It is cool armor.
But I do know that some people are kind of sad that we kind of wasted Gwendolyn Christie on it. But yees. So that's movies. We can talk about other Star Wars stuff. Still working on watching the Clone Wars series. I'm all the way through season 3 now. I was about halfway, I think, last week.
I just double-checked
on Art Dump, and I'm just, why?
Hang on, I gotta go look now.
It's not good, don't. You really shouldn't.
Proto-8, I'm gonna hurt you.
Why?
Okay, this pinup,
this?
this adult pinup Bea though has saved my soul though.
Well, yeah, Sakimi-chan is great.
Mm-hmm.
Good work. Am I following them? I should be following them.
I'm pretty sure I'm following them.
I'm not. I'll make sure to do that. There's no objections there. I follow. I follow spicier artists.
Let me make sure I am not on the studio account though.
I know I'm not. I switched back.
Let me just make sure here. And then...
Well, yeah, actually, to briefly touch back on the movie, Devilish does have a good point that there is also a lot of process that goes into making a movie and, like, final editing and stuff, slimming down. That can really change a tone of a scene and stuff. And some scenes deserve to be cut, but others are just, like, that's kind of sad. Like, did you know that in A New Hope, there's actually a scene that was filmed where Luke talks to Biggs, his buddy, who he meets up again at the end of the movie, who's leaving, about gonna go... I think he's going to go join the rebellion, or maybe he's going to go to Flight Academy, the Empire, whatever. But he's going to leave and go do stuff, and Luke is upset. But it makes the prologue on Tatooine even more kind of long and unnecessary, because you really get out of other scenes that Luke's like, man, I want to get out of here. Yes, I've seen the clips. Since you keep bringing it up, Ninebreaker, somebody in the story group pulled a lot of old Sith Lord names and named Sith legions after them. Honestly, as cool as that is, that's also really half-assed, because it's just like, that's literally just somebody in the department who has nothing better to do than to write fluff being like, what are some cool names? Pull one of these.
I don't see anyone posting the latest cute, sexy robot, so I'm going to post that. We're going to start moving.
It's probably buried in there somewhere, is it not refreshed yet?
So it was only posted 2 hours ago, and I just checked our...
Oh, okay. So nobody posted it. I probably have it in my tweets somewhere, but didn't see it.
Yeah, it's Cammy.
Nah. But anyway, Clone Wars, still interesting. Yeah, I'm only just now getting into the quote unquote really good ones, and hopefully the continuity gets a little bit better, because like I said, there is a lot of weird back and forth and placement of stuff. But
Lucky's only watched the Gindi version of the Clone Wars.
Yep.
I haven't decided a platform or how I'm going to watch the actual Clone Wars series, because I don't have Disney Plus. I can't juggle that many streaming services. I can't.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out how to do that. But actually, Omega, you mind pausing for a moment?
Yeah, we can pause for a sec. We just did another big long second of topics.
Mm-hmm.
And we returned, because we were talking about Star Wars.
Yep.
Somebody can post my meme about that. Anyway. Oh, fuck, did I save Robin's enhanced version? Which replaced the sprite with a monster? I won't bring it up right now. Lead Scotland. That's the quote version, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were talking about Star Wars stuff. Some, rumors with the new show happened while you were off, Mike. But the other thing to just talk about is just Star Wars stuff, because, hey, that game's still going on.
Yeah? I mean, it's only had one session.
Yeah, we only had one real session, but we're still starting up, and seems like we're having a lot of fun, and I hope that we have a lot of fun in the future, because I'm super excited about that.
We're both vibrating about it.
Yeah, I'm super hyped for tomorrow.
Oh, yes. That's true. We blame Ron for that, discard.
Yeah, that's a question of scheduling, which is always the problem with these things, but still. But yeah, so we transitioned to Clone Wars to do stuff, so we're super happy to be here. It'll take a while before it'll beat the first season of Mages of War. That took like 26 episodes, I think, with maybe half in there. I could check, but I don't want to. Anyway.
I don't know, wasn't the Scythian Front, only, how many episodes was the Scythian Front?
Scythian Front was, 4 or 5? Because it was, 2 parts for part 1, and then, was it 2 parts for the second part? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I knew that there were 2 scenarios, but they both took multiple sessions, because I'm not good at pacing in writing. Mostly probably because we fuck around a lot, but that's why, for some stuff, I take a more streamlined style.
I like fucking about. I just do.
Because, here's something I'm going to say, and we'll probably reiterate, because at least Loth isn't here right now, because we'll probably talk about that again. And Marth, because I don't know if he listens. But, so, the way that we should maybe think of this campaign, not literally as a flowchart, because there's not an actual flowchart, because I'm mostly just thinking about themes and things I definitely want to do, which I have loads. But think of it kind of like a flowchart, so, as you do different things that come up, they will flow into new things and new steps, which kind of can escalate the difficulty. And if something is, time sensitive, I'll be sure to let you guys know, so you don't, you ignore that plot point, it came back to bite you. Because obviously leaving them all open is good. So if, like, for instance, we talked about one of the potential plot hooks is black market stuff. If you guys don't want to handle that until you've had time to buy some skills which might be relevant to that, that's okay. You can put that on the back burner. And if something is urgent, like, dude, droids are gonna fucking attack your ass, that'll be, like, a whole thing. That'll come out. But obviously, I want to make sure that you guys have time to grow. Like, for now, I don't... I think Loth said he has Pilot Planetary, and maybe Marth has Planet Space. That's 2 out of 4. I don't know if anybody has Gunnery, which is for vehicle weapons, so obviously, like, doing a big high-flying space section, probably not good right now.
Probably not, no.
And, you know, at the same time, like, maybe a full-blown, like, tank mission would not be great, though there are some big vehicles that have a lot of space in there, like a lot of the stat lines, because I've been compiling a vehicle.
God, I want a Juggernaut so bad.
Compilation. Yeah, you really want the Juggernaut, because that's, like, big, comfy space RV. And unfortunately, I cannot find any references to any of those heavy speeder trucks being utilized in the Clone Wars period. So,
God damn it.
There'll be a couple of other stuff, but yeah, mostly the big stuff is like that's your really big boy unit. ATTEs are kind of comfy too, but they're a little smaller. But like there's usually room for like a vehicle commander, a pilot or co-pilot, some engineers maybe, which is also that's the thing I don't think any of you are really good at. Like maybe Axe's character, the ARC Trooper, has, because mechanics is one of his class skills, so he can set bombs, so maybe he can do field repairs. But he is not the int-focused guy, so that'll be a question for later, which is like, can you guys actually fix anything? You know, for one, I don't think anybody owns a toolkit, for instance. Actually, wait, no, you guys do. You have Jedi toolkits. Okay, that's good.
The spec for, like, it gives you spec for,
like, it counts as a tool. The Jedi multi-tool, counts as a toolkit and also gives you bonuses to building lightsabers, because the game really wants you to trick out your lightsaber, but also the nature of the mod system is usually, if you're playing like Age of Rebellion or Edge of the Empire, is you have one tech monkey character who is like, here, hold my gun, make it better. Oh shit, the ship's broke, fix something, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and we've talked about this, you guys don't really have roles per se, but you do have different specialties, like Marth is obviously going the healing route, he's got medicine, he has a tool. He has the basic power of heal, I think.
Yeah. Instead of being a Dr. Murder bot, he's going to be Dr. Murder Boy.
Yeah, he also, I think he's bought up to Lightsaber 3, so he's no slouch.
No, he's higher than Adama.
And we did think that, you know, we kind of talking about this, we realized heal is a little BS, and not in the way that I said endurance is BS, because it's like, hey, I'm just going to buy a couple of ranks and not die. Okay, thanks. The endure power is pretty cool as a tank to just be like, you take a critical injury and you're like, no, I don't. I'm fine. I ignore it. I'm okay. Bye. I can temporarily ignore death so long as I keep this force die committed. And then somebody can fix you. But heal is like, you can't spend it multiple times. You have to like get extras to boost your amount. But I think the thing is that it's reasonably easy to buy like range and magnitude upgrades. So the thing that heal is really good at is that it's good at constant AoE burst heals, which is something you really can't do any other way. Which is good, because that's the thing to do about force powers, is that like they should let you do things you really cannot do otherwise, right?
Lucky will be spending strength to protect NPC troopers. I think that's actually a talent the Jedi Knight.
Yeah, no, Lucky is a straight up Jedi Knight, which is we've talked about this too. They are very much they and Padawan are very much, Padawan is keyed for you to be a low experience character. It's got a lot of abilities to add career skills, to kind of like fail at things and fail forward, and to do other stuff like that and kind of expand yourself out that way. Knight is all about, hey, here's your Jedi starter kit. You've got ranks of reflect and parry. You've got the ability to parry and possibly also reflect, I don't remember, but to parry for your allies, basically. And then you've got an ability to, is it redirect attacks to yourself?
I know, I guess, hang on, let me pull up. I think it's, let's see, Rise of the Separatists.
But yeah, there's a talent in Jedi which lets you tank, basically, which is different from the one in the Surasu lightsaber form tree, which also has basically a taunt. you do a hard lightsaber check, which is like, and only enemies can attack you if able, while it endures, which is cool.
Yeah, by the way, the ability is called Circle of Shelter. When an engaged ally suffers a hit, you may use parry or reflect incidental against the hit.
Alright. And then Guardian of the Republic is the one that lets you...
After the character uses parry or reflect to reduce damage from a hit against an ally, that ally cannot be targeted by combat checks for the rest of the round.
Yeah, so basically, okay, you get to cover for your allies and then be like, no, you can't. No. Stop that. Do you get both improved parry and reflect in that tree too?
Yeah, no, you get two ranks of parry, 2 ranks of reflect, and both improved reflect and improved parry.
Yeah, so it's not very deep, because I recently was writing about something else to somebody about them, and some of those lightsaber trees, like, there's like 5 parries in Makashi Duelist, but there's no reflect because it's all about melee combat, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But some of them go very deep on the defensive options. This is just like a little of everything, which is okay.
Like, honestly, like, if Marth had been a Padawan, I might have gone Padawan, because I was looking at this as like, man, I need some more fucking skills.
Skills.
Skills are great, because Padawan has, what was it?
Well-Rounded, I think is the name?
Yeah.
The one that lets you add to. Also, he played a human, so he got free ranks in non-career skills anyway.
Yeah.
Which I think is how he got his first point of medicine.
Mm-hmm.
What did you get out of your starting character skilills?
My middle skills, I got cool leadership, lightsaber, negotiation.
No, I mean like because your most species give you a skill or two. What did you get out?
Oh no, I got a point of vigilance because I'm a Miraluka, homebrewed by Omega.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's interesting to see characters kind of grow and find their points. We've been talking a lot about future branches out, and like. Some of you have expressed some interest in going into Neman Disciple, because it's one of the unique lightsaber trees, which is like, hey, gives you both a force rating and a dedication, which is pretty good. So that's a really good one. But also, honestly, I think it synergizes with your character very well, because as the diplomat's form, it gives you, I think it's definitely leadership and negotiate. Oh, it's discipline, leadership, lightsaber, and negotiation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, that's a perfect skill if you want to use force powers, which you've expressed some interest in some of those, and if you want to also do social stuff. It gives you like a rank of Nobody's Fool, which is great. Nobody's Fool is a real BS talent. Just upgrade incoming difficulty of certain social checks against you. That's a real big fuck you, considering most of those are opposed anyway. It's basically like, yeah, I don't need any ranks in cool, just don't even. Just don't, stop. Bad idea.
But this is, in the future. Omega's good with experience, with doling out experience, but things get expensive real quick.
But yeah, so there's a lot of question about it. And I've already gave you 20 to 25, I think, for the first session.
Axe, I'm not entirely sure what you're talking about there. Arcs can just ignore it, or they wouldn't have the chip?
Well, yeah, there's been the chip thing is kind of weird. There's been a lot of back and forth about how serious that is. Some clone troopers definitely have the chip surgically removed. And arcs are supposed to be really, really independent. And definitely in the Legends continuity where there wasn't a chip, a lot of the arc troopers and clone troopers are just like, no. Because it was just it was supposed to be just an ingrained, like, suggested order that, like, if one of these emergency orders comes through, you obey it no matter what. And regular clone troopers is like, aw shit, dude, it's the order. We do the thing. Whereas arcs and clone commandos are supposed to be semi-independent, and a lot of them were just like, that's dumb. I think it was in the Rise of Darth Vader novel, there was a clone commando squad who didn't shoot their Jedi because they were like, we're in enemy territory. We were pretty sure, we thought that was a fake transmission. And then Darth Vader kills them all because they sassed him.
Oof.
Was it James Luceno? The Rise of Darth Vader is a really, really good novel in the old EU because it's set immediately post Revenge of the Sith, and it is basically how does Vader get his groove back. And it's like, it's also from the POV of how some Jedi like survived the initial purge, but a lot of it is just Darth Vader is now Darth Vader. He's a robot man. He doesn't know how to handle himself. How does he get mad enough to fuck shit up? And at the end, he figures it out. He's like, oh, this is how I fuck people's day up. I have a lot of self-loathing. I'm just gonna channel that. It's got some great scenes and quotes. It's a really good book. There's a lot of good EU stuff out there, and a lot of weird stuff that we don't talk about anymore. But yeah, so the question of like, also, I believe there have been comics where like some clone troopers have kind of tried to shake off their chip overrides or not paid attention to them in the first place. So there's definitely a question of like, what would happen if we got that far? I don't know if we'll get that far though, because I explicitly said this is kind of middle of the war, because I don't know if we will get that deep and what happens then. Like, I don't know necessarily if the campaign gets that far, if that's what our conclusion is. Do we just become an Age of Rebellion game then?
That could be fun.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to say, Automa is morality 50, and there is reason for that.
Yeah, everybody's in the middle of the middle of the range. And actually, honestly, I actually say that there is a universal spectre that came out in the source book they did that kind of talks about like solo rebels and Rogue One, which is called Retired Clone Trooper. So there's actually a tree for that to let you portray being a modern clone trooper after. So there's a lot of fun stuff we can do. Specializations are really cool. Like, actually, I want to recommend, because I know that Mart's character is a bit of a big brain. That I know he wants the Force rating from Neiman, but I think it would actually make much more sense for him to go Sorasu, the nerd lightsaber form, because that makes your lightsaber checked int based. That has lots of levels of parry and deflect, and including improved and supreme parry. And like I said, that's the one where you can. Yeah, I mentioned that their Jedi Master, he would do Sorasu, which is also makes sense because that would make sense from a fluff perspective. But the talents also work, I think, for a Mars character to, like I said, do the taunt so people have to focus on him, or not like he just literally doesn't make attacks. He could just stand there and wait to counterattack and make people target him and heal people as his action. Because that's the thing about Supreme Parry and Supreme Reflect, which is the ultimate upgraded versions of those talents. They let you do them for one strain if you didn't make a combat check on your last round. So basically, if you don't actually attack anybody, you can parry earlier, which means if you parry, then you can proc improved parry or deflect, which lets you counterattack, basically. With honestly improved reflect being better than improved parry, because I think improved parry is only you can do base damage to the guy who attacked you. Improved deflect is you can bounce that base damage of that ranged attack anywhere in like short range or medium range or something. Pew! So you don't have to bounce a bolt back to the guy who hit you. It's funny. Like I said, I did a lot of analysis. The only downside to Sorasu is it's a very turtley form. You don't go anywhere. Yeah, that's another thing. It's very strain heavy. Like, you don't get a lot of natural strain regeneration, so you need to do something so you don't just pass out from using parry too much.
Well, that's why Jedi trees usually have a lot of grit.
Yeah, they usually have a couple of grits. Some don't, though. Ataru Striker doesn't. Ataru Striker is like, if you don't kill the guy right away, like if you don't win, you'll be out of stamina, you'll fucking pass out and die. Like, Ataru Striker is one of the most brutally offensive. It's the one that gets you Hawkbat Swoop, so you can engage with the target for free. As basically you do a lightsaber check and can move into engage, so you have mobility, and then you can do Saber Swarm, which lets you add a linked rating to your lightsaber attacks equal to your force rating. So basically in a single attack, your one lightsaber can be like hitting a dude with 5 lightsabers. But like I said, there is... they don't have any like second win. I don't think they have any grit, so they're just like, you will just pass out after you take a couple hits.
Oh, balance. Oh, I'm looking through the Jedi Knight tree at the end. They have balance, which is
balance is a good talent. It comes up a couple of places. You can recover restrain after the end with force dice.
Yeah,
and there's a healing version of that too, healing trance. Ninebreaker, they added it later, the Geo Berserker tree, which is that Form 7. It's a really complicated tree that I don't think any of my player characters are going to do, but it's like it's an interesting path because it's basically a high-spec offensive tree, which is about being a controlled asshole. Because it's got ranks of stuff like intimidating, which makes your coercion checks better. It's got ranks of lethal blows. Like, honestly, Lucky, you might not remember this, but remember that Ron's character, when we played Force and Destiny, he was a Seeker, and he wanted to go Ataru Striker also, but he actually took Assassin so he could get lethal blows to stab people harder. He totally would have picked up Geo Berserker if it had existed. Like, that's the thing. So it... and it has an ability that lets you do more damage if you, the more dark side, or flip a dark side, point to dark side to do more damage and gain conflict. And then, but also it's got a fork, which is for the controlled Vapad form, which is like, it has an ability to reduce the amount of conflict you have for a session and flip points back to the light.
Oh.
And its ultimate ability is called Vapad Control, which is when making a lightsaber check, reduce the difficulty equal to the amount of light side points there are in the Destiny pool. So if the situation is good and very light, it's very, very easy to hit people. There is no fill up on conflict discard. At the end of every session, if you have conflict, you roll basically, and you, depending on if you roll above or under your conflict, you get it. If you go over 10, because you roll a d10, that means you will absolutely, no matter what, gain conflict. And then your conflict transfers into your morality going down, basically, you're up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the beautiful things about Fantasy Flight Star Wars, which is the first one for this is an explicit default rule. I think there were some options in old WEG, but the default assumption was if you get enough dark side points, your character is a villain and it's done, turn in your character sheet. Force and Destiny is not like that with morality.
Yeah.
If you go below 30, you do become a darksider, which changes how you result in the Force, and things do get shittier. You add dark side points to the Destiny pool, but you're still playable. And actually, your wound threshold goes up, I think. Because if you're Lightside Paragon, your strain threshold goes up.
Yeah.
So, being a Darksider makes things more chaotic, makes things more dangerous for the players, makes it more volatile, but is not unplayable, and you can always, try and work your way back. But also, to prevent, conflict just tanking, I'm like, if you guys don't do anything that involves it generating conflict, I'm not going to make you roll, because that's just silly.
We kind of saw that in Cat, who, never really did anything one way or another, so he never got conflict, therefore he just went up.
Yeah, because Cat was just, there were a lot of sessions early on where you guys didn't really do Force stuff, so Cat was just kind of there, and it wasn't like a real, This one, we will probably engage in some stuff there, because there will be some questions about things. And I'll admit, because conflict's kind of random, I'm actually a little stricter on some people than others I know are. Like, there will be points where it'll be like, well, okay, we can rush into combat and help those innocent civilians, or we could do something strategically related. If you leave those people to be harmed, that's conflict. Even if it's dumb and it's going to put you in danger, that's still conflict. That's still the right thing to do. But you don't have to do it.
The right thing to do isn't necessarily the smart thing to do.
No, remember, in my version, the ultimate expression of a Jedi, which might be a little bit different in the Clone Wars era, but for me, playing Force and Destiny, the ultimate expression of I am a Jedi is when Luke throws away his lightsaber, even though he's gonna fucking die. That's a real bad move, but that was the move that generated no conflict.
Mm-hmm.
That was the good move, and then he got blasted with lightning, and it sucked.
We talked about this in Secret Cabal. There is very heavy thought to make an Arma fucking a paladin, full on sword and board.
Yeah, because you're already super tanky with Jedi Knight, and the question was because I was reminded everybody, because you're planning on doing some possibly defensive work, that shields are a thing, and specifically it's the M3 Bulwark, I think, is the Clone Trooper Riot Shield. So that's a thing you might have lying around, and you were like, do I want a sword and board? And I was like,
Then you showed me the fucking picture of
Obi-Wan.
I
found a picture, which I don't know if it's an official art or not, because I got it I saw it on a comic book website, but I don't know if it was an actual thing, but it was Obi-Wan with one of those shields fighting, in a formation.
I'm also this is amazing, I love it.
Yeah, so there's some question of, if you're going to get a shield, because you've also gone back and forth, you've thought about getting a lightsaber pike, and maybe decided against that, and then some other stuff. No, Arma doesn't need ranged light. She just needs is saber throwing Jedi Knight?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah, you're fine. Again, it's the basic Jedi tier. It lets you do all the Jedi stuff. Because there are some lightsaber specs which don't have saber throw. And it's you have no range. No range game.
Fucking Cat was a jug gun Jedi.
Cat was an everything Jedi. He, you were we talked about having the tech head character. That's what you were. You were the Force-sensitive tech head, which was a really, really good build. Because you eventually got shit like comprehend technology, you had a lot of ranks in enhanced, so it was dude, I just use the Force, I can work anything. If the source book with manipulate had come out, you would have filled up that Force power.
Yeah.
That's the one that lets you repair stuff with your mind, but also lets you add Force dice to mechanics.
Yeah. I'm looking at Force powers, Arma picked up a few points in battle meditation because, I'm probably going to pick up General at some point along with Seer,
Yeah, Seer's a really interesting tree. I looked at it because you were talking about it. That gives you the sense anything, which is like, you're basically just like, fuck you, no black dice for me, all the black dice for you. It's just full of fun little things to like, do initiative well, let your allies be safe. You get a couple ranks of dodge, so you can just be like, nah.
And then pair that with the sense power that lets you upgrade checks against you, like combat checks.
Yeah, if you want to be a defensive Jedi, other than just buying a lightsaber tree and maxing out your like parries and deflects, sense is the sense because protect requires you to be force rating 3, which is really hard to do.
Yes.
Sense is a basic because it lets you upgrade combat checks, which are not normally upgraded because you have danger sense. Woo! And then, like I said, stuff like Seer, which is like I have dodge, and other ones. And some are tanky too. Like that's the one thing I like about. Well, sometimes it's a little confusing to like remember all the talents. There's a lot of different ways you can be strong or good in the FFG Star Wars. Like sometimes you take talents like dodge or like sidestep or defensive stance or whatever, and you're just like, I'm just not going to get hit. Sense is kind of the same way. You make it so the enemy just can't hit you. Then there's things like parry or deflect, or even talents like durable or armor master, which increase your soak, where you're just like, nah, I'm just going to take less damage. And then there's people who are loaded up with shit like toughened and like durable. Center of being is another good example where you're like, even if you hit me, you're not going to hit me that bad. I'm not going to take a big crit, you know?
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. You were looking at something?
Yeah, I was looking at something, sorry.
There was a slightly long pause in the sides there, and I was like, is he okay?
I was looking over at, Let's Talk FGO, and people were asking me about, Rogue One was like, literally, what did Lucky Cop the Pasta? I was, for those who are not in the know, basically, I was doing some reading on Shintoism and some interesting details, which I believe puts lets me put more chips on the fact that the Kira Archer is Sei Shonagon. I don't want to get into too much detail about it, but we can talk about it next week on Let's Talk FGO.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I'm really excited, like, especially since we're going to have a regular game for once. God damn it, Ron.
Regular game. And like I said, there's so many things I want to do. Like, at some point, it's not spoilers to say, there's going to be probably some big beefy, if not literally a Mandalorian, but somebody Mandalorian-esque, like, covered in armor with all the cool toys, because there's so many cool toys in this game system. You're probably going to have to fight in some fucking trenches at some point just because I set that up, and, like, that would be a good way for things to be sucking in the war. There'll definitely be some encounters with some wildlife. I don't know if I'm gonna have to figure out the right place for this. I really want you guys to fight droids on motorcycles with power lances, just like Genny Wars. I don't know how. I don't know why, but it's probably gonna come up.
Let us get all of us get some pilot planetary first.
Obviously, yeah. Or you guys will just stand there and saber them to death. Because you're good at that. You're good at guys doing that. Like I said, I don't want to do any big high flying scenes right away, but I do want probably there to be, because there's a wealth of various, different and sundry droid fighters and stuff to work with. So there's a lot of fun stuff we can do with that, but obviously nobody's spec'd out for that yet. Yeah. And there's a lot of, obviously there should probably be, I've set it up that there can be temples and ruins, so there should be some, some dungeon delving type stuff. And at some point, I'm like, I want there to be something like somebody else to be like some kind of dark side acolyte and make you Force guys kind of stretch your force muscles a little. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but I want there to be some of that just so we can, kind of get that feel. I've already acknowledged, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to need some melee guys if one of you's already at Lightsaber 3. I will at some point need some guys who can actually fight you close up, so that matters.
Actually, I was really interested. Yeah, you pulled up a map of basically the Clone Wars and all the territories and where a lot of skirmishes were. I was like, wow, this actually took place over a lot of space.
Yeah, because a lot of the... I can actually scroll up to find that. A lot of the... I didn't even have to scroll up, really. But, because the Republic's very concentrated in the core. And then the Separatist systems were part of the Republic and kind of branched out. But a lot of cases, they were also shitty corpo spaces who were like, taxes, dude. But so they kind of spread out from a lot of major trade areas, so it's very interesting to see kind of the overlap and a lot of interesting conflicts, some of which are still canon and whatnot. But yeah, there's Naboo, there's Malastare.
There's Republic space, Separatist space, and then Hut space. And
Yeah,
there's,
the Huts stay eternally neutral, kind of, maybe. Though I did also get them involved in this, because I was like, and this company might be a secret front for the Huts. Because that's another thing, is like, it happens in stuff like the Clone Wars and other things, so I'm like, I'm gonna make you guys engage with scum and whatnot. There's all this stuff about it and lots of opportunities to work from, so, there will definitely be that opportunity to be like, yeah, you're gonna meet some gangers, you're gonna meet some spice smugglers. Some of them will be nice, some of them will be cool. And, hey, everybody loves when they can stab a slaver.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, like I said, I have lots of different ideas, and like I said, I think I'm going with kind of a flow chart where, like, doing one mission opens up other missions. Like, for instance, if you had decided to do the Force Recon thing and we set that up, that would be, you'd go out and you'd get some intelligence, which means that maybe next time you could actually do, like, an assault, or maybe you would have found something, because I don't know exactly what I'm going to write in that space yet, because you haven't decided to do it, but it might be something where, like, you find some enemy infrastructure, so maybe it's a sabotage mission, or maybe it opens up 2 missions and you decide which you want to tackle first. Like, do you want to tackle a major point of the enemy, or do you want to kind of do a sub-point kind of thing? And obviously, if you'd pursue the other one, which is the black market ideal, it would be like, okay, well, now you uncover the arms market ring or whatever. It's like, do you go deeper on solving crime, or maybe the guy gets away and then you have to deal with other stuff, Lots of different options.
Right now I'm hoping we can just do a more or less direct combat. Well, that doesn't require a lot of thinking, so we can gather up experience, so we can start spreading them around into maybe more investigative abilities.
Sure.
Because, like, this is the problem. Like I said, this isn't a fault of Omega, but sometimes having to rely on the fact that your deductions is based on your rolls sometimes bites you in the butt. And while I don't mind rolling, almost nothing for a check, I do kind of mind where I feel like I might have got shafted at an important point because because my roll was bad, or one of us just didn't happen to have the relevant skill. So I'm just like, before we actually start getting to like big investigative stuff, I want chance for everyone to develop their own skills and whatnot, and maybe start branching out into a little bit here and now. Like for myself, I did the min-max tactic of I literally put all my points from the beginning into attributes. So later, when I have the skills to back them up, I'll be at a higher overall. But at the beginning here, I'm real weak.
Oh yeah, and that's like we joked about that. You got plugged by a battle droid.
Mm-hmm.
Now he was very lucky. I did some stuff there. I flipped a dark side point for it to be dramatical, but he still got you. You don't have any deflect yet. It hurt.
What was it, like 11 points?
Yeah, because they're using blaster rifles.
Yeah, I think I had 5.
Which honestly, that's just that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't care that you also super min-max your starting armor. Yeah, with your bootleg armored clothes.
They're cool,
which are better than regular armored clothing.
Yeah, they are.
Because they don't have any special features. And do you have any fucking hard points at all?
Yeah.
Does heavy clothing have 1 hard point? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, you don't have a lot of extra customization options.
Yeah, because the armor inserts are 0 hard points.
Yep. I think the intent is that, literally, because it's restricted to clothing that doesn't really have any soak or anything already. It's literally, you could buy something that's not even a piece of armor on the street and, put it on and sew the plates in, and now you have armor, because it's from the spy book, Ciphers and Masks.
Hey, I'm still happy with it. Better than fucking heavy robes.
Yeah. I made sure to point out how much the heavy robe sucked to wear in the terrain. Yeah, and also I did a little for plot reasons. I softball you on the terrain a little bit because it wasn't super deep water or mud yet. Because obviously this was an area where people were investigating something which requires a certain amount of solidity. But there can definitely be areas where it's just this terrain just sucks.
Yeah, as I said, as we go on, I expect the difficulty increase. But as I said, I believe, I've never thought of you who ever gives us too difficult a challenge. It's things can be hard, but nothing's ever impossible.
And honestly, I've had problems with lowballing stuff before. I'm like, oh, I wanted that to be more challenging, but okay. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not really. I've never really done the killer GM thing. Even maybe in Call of Cthulhu, but that's mostly just because it sucks. It's just kind of the Call of Cthulhu universe sucks. It should be about sucking, kind of. But in general, I'm not like, there's no real... I've always had the philosophy, which I've mentioned before. I control, like, 99% of the universe, you know? If at any point you guys do something dumb and should die, you're gonna fucking die, dude. There's not much you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, like if it's like, well, if you bum rush into a field of like 100 droids, I can roll attacks until you fall over, but must we? You know, kind of thing. So it's like there's no point in me being mean or vindictive, right? And there's also the classic adage: if you stat something, the players will kill it, which I accept. I never build a character to be engaged if you guys can't do something, and I have dark side points, so I can always be like, dark side, ooh, he gets away. That's actually a recommended use of dark side points, is to cause a narrative contrivance so that you can have recurring bad guys, because that's a theme. Yeah, that is definitely a point, Axe. I really do want you guys to do cool stuff. Like, this is Star Wars. I want you guys to, like, leap into squads of droids and punch them to death with your bare hands and shit.
The temptation to get enhanced grows only every day.
Steel Hand Adept. It's really bullshit. In a good way, though. That's the thing. Some talent trees and force powers are bullshit in bad ways, and some are bullshit in good ways. And this is like, nah, dude, that's hilarious. I'm gonna be a force sensitive spec based in punching. There's actually two. There's a Guardian spec called Warden, which is more like grapples and soft martial arts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then Steel Hand Adept is like, it's either like commit force dice or it's probably like do something to a check and give yourself your unarmed attacks, or possibly all your brawling attacks, which can include brawling weapons, breach equal to your force rating, because fuck you. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna punch a tank. That's cool. That's fine. Everything's fine. But also, sometimes you see Jedi do shit like that, so whatever.
I mean, Taket's flipped the tank.
Taket has juggled starships. You went really whole hog on move.
It was great. I was looking at it. I had more than just move and enhance, but I think move and enhance were the only ones I had maxed out, and I used them liberally.
Move is a great power.
It is.
Enhance is also a great power, but enhance is just, it's the explanation for why Jedi seem to be able to do a lot of physical stuff and do a lot of skill sets that don't necessarily fit their builds.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just like, add your force dice to athletics and coordination, I think is the first one. And then first
one is just athletics, and
just
then you
athletics,
get a couple trees where you get like resilience and brawl, and then like coordinate, planetary.
Yeah, it's like got 4 forks, so it's like you can focus on brawn related stuff, because the thing that lets you upgrade like resilience and brawl eventually lets you commit a dice to increase your brawn by 1.
Yeah.
You know, so you can cast fist. There's another that's agi based, so you can up your agility even and increase stuff like coordination and both of your pilot skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then enhance also lets you do sick jumps, sick ups.
Yeah, force leap. God damn it, I want it.
Well, there are a couple of alternatives, because, like I said, Ataru gets Hawkbat Swoop, which lets you engage a target for free as part of a lightsaber check. You basically get to jump in and smash them. Neiman has Draw Closer, which lets you pull somebody silhouette 1 to you, so you can pull a guy to you and stab him in the same check. It also lets you spend force pips to add success. So that's real brutal. Like, the Ataru one gives you advantage, which is like, okay, advantage is like crits and sundering, but straight successes is just more damage. Ow. There's also, it's not necessarily a force talent, but there is a talent called free running and improved free running, which is just, you can get to places within short range, using the terrain regardless of like what's in the way, which is kind of Force Leap-esque. But I believe there is actually a Sentinel tree which lets you take free running. So you don't need to Force Leap, you can just parkour.
I'm probably gonna, like I said, eventually once I get done with Synth and Battlementation, I'm probably gonna just burn through Enhance, because it's real cheap actually.
Yeah, it's a basic power. And also, you guys have a discount in that you have a Jedi Master, so we're using the Force and Destiny rule for having a mentor. He makes it easier to acquire basic Force powers, at least.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if I remember right, Enhance has a starting cost of 10, so that'd be 5. And I think the first 2 levels where you can get Coordinate and Resilience are also 5. So
that's like 3 of your basic bitch skills right away.
Yeah, and I can just add, like, anytime I roll them, I can just add 2 force die to that.
And finally, you can be on the level of those clones who get physical training as a starting talent, which is really horseshit. They get a free boost. They get a minimum 1 free boost die on all athletics and resilience checks. And I think both of our playable clone troopers picked a specialization that has like a second rank in the top row.
Yeah,
so
boost die are great.
Boost die are great. Sometimes they whiff, which always sucks, but like that's just free extra successes and advantage, and they get it on some of the very most common checks. Because that was actually the very first check of the game. Hold on, I need to retweet this really quick.
What?
Art dump.
Oh, fuck.
But the very first check was you had a crash landing, of course. Which I don't know if you could tell from how rehearsed it was, but I spent a lot of time practicing that sequence of events to myself. Because I wanted it to be iconic. But the first roll was a resilience check, because you crashed. And all of you passed with flying colors, which is too bad, because I could have had you take some wounds or something.
I'm glad I was able to yell at everyone to brace for impact, though. The problem was, I knew you were on a roll, on a flow, and I was like, I want to yell shit, but I don't want to interrupt the Megas. I'm like,
No, and I was, but at the same time, I was like, you snuck it in there, like, that's fine, yeah. Because I can, obviously, you guys should get a little bit of commentary.
Mm-hmm.
But I got all the lines I wanted in, and it was able to be there. And now the question is, will you guys fly LAATs again, ever? Probably.
We have to, probably.
Well, I don't know. I've been building a vehicle guide because, as much as I love the FFG system, if there's one thing that is always they've had problems with, it's the formatting the vehicle tables. They're awful. I'm sorry. But there's a lot of vehicles that don't make any goddamn sense in, like, the silhouettes or some of the stats. And there's a lot of weird misrepresentation. Like, what was it? Was it the... which one was it? There was one of the vehicles that was, like... I noted it, like... Okay, so it has concussion missile launchers mentioned in the description. They do not appear in the stat block, so I was like, I'm gonna fix that. So... This has given me an opportunity to kind of side edit some of the stuff and kind of present this all in an organized fashion to you, what you guys have available. Because a lot of the common vehicles are in Rise of the Separatists and Collapse of the Republic, yes, but there also might be some weird stuff or some outdated stuff or even some cutting edge stuff that maybe you guys want to try and acquire and utilize. Yeah. And from this, we've all seen the clone Juggernaut, the clone turbo tank. The Juggernaut is great, but it's very expensive and quite rare.
And needs a lot of people.
Oh no, I think it holds a whole company, so it's a lot of fucking dudes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got a lot of fun toys. The ATTE is more manageable. It's like a size smaller and carries only like 20 dudes, I think, and requires a smaller crew.
I gotta look at what it is. But
there's a lot of walkers. I detailed most of them.
All right, I have retweeted a lot of art.
But yeah, we excited.
Yeah, as I said, I'm gonna try and raise the Ada Mama level next session. As I'm trying to get used to.
No, once again, no spoilers. But I think I'm definitely much like I kind of let you guys talk about maybe what you were doing in the ride over before we got into the actual murder part. I would definitely want to leave some free role playing time for some vignettes and stuff at the front before it's like all mission man all the time.
Yeah. Because that's the thing I was thinking about. Like, when you're in the mission, when you're in the focus, it's like, you gotta fucking think. You can't just... It's kind of like, I don't know, I haven't settled into Artemon's character enough that I can just do it whenever.
Right. And yeah, there will be points, and especially once you guys have a better grip on your characters, where you will do the very Star Wars thing where, like, you're in the middle of a mission and you're gonna have a fucking philosophical debate about the nature of a Jedi. Why? I don't know. You guys are literally being chased down by... prison guard droids and, jumping over pits full of lava. But no, we're going to talk about what the purpose of the Jedi Order is. That's fine. That's a good idea. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, as I said, that is one of the... Well, because with Arama being a Jedi Knight who has 50 morality and, some questions about, like, her life and Jedi Order, she wants, to, maybe, talk to the Padawan a bit, but at the same time, she doesn't want to talk to the Padawan too much because guess what? He's a Padawan influenced by her own master, so it's just like there's a lot of, like I said, I think there's a lot of potential for philosophical discussions on the Jedi Order and whatnot, and I want to kind of involve the clones and what they think about, like, what being a clone is like. How about, like, only actually being like 10 years old? Is this one of those questions of, like, it's like you're boys, and you didn't even have a childhood. It's like,
at which point one of them will probably go, I had a childhood, I was a clone cadet, I got to shoot stuff. You're just like,
yeah, so there's definitely, like, a lot of topics I want to bring about, like, the Clone War and the Jedi Council into play. It's just, I don't know, like, it's just the time. How do I deliver it? When do I deliver it? Because I like.
Oh, we're this talking about shitty stuff happening in war. Our campaign is chock full of child soldiers. The Padawan is 15, and then the clones are basically like 10.
Yep.
And even our most mature and motherly Arama is only like in her mid 20s or early 20s even.
Yeah.
Because you also got basically a brevet promotion to Jedi Knight, so yeah,
so,
which was probably like, oh shit, there's a war. Hey, you're ready for the trials. You're a knight now. And then, oh my, no, you weren't.
Nope.
Oh boy. And also, honestly, because there's also on my end, there's trying to find in details like, if I make things a little too mystical to start, is that going to be distracting for the clone troopers who literally can't take shit like lore, and like can't get deep into the mythos?
Yeah, that's something I was like thinking about, because our first mission was like, hey, check out this weird ancient race artifact thing, and I'm just all like,
yeah, that was kind of the conclusion, was like, ooh, here's a little tickler at the end of mystery.
Mm-hmm. And like you didn't like put that in the you didn't put like a reference into your 3 what I want to call them, plot hooks. So it's like, is he saving that for something? Is that something we're gonna have to discover on our own time?
That's kind of like, I'm like, I don't want to reintroduce that right away, because that lady has to do some science. She got to take it back to the lab. So it's like, that's one we'll sit on until you guys maybe unlock some more. But because there's, like I said, I have lots of ideas which are not necessarily directly connected, but I want to wait until it's the right time to bring them up. Like I said, like I don't want to just like, oh shit, a flight of droid bombers is coming to blow your ass up. That would be a bad idea for a session, because you guys would just get blown up. Because like I said, there's like 2 guys with pilot who probably only have like pilot 1, and so it would be like, and like I said, I don't think anybody has gunnery, so you can't even like take to the anti-tank guns. I guess I could make it a mass combat but then it's mostly like, okay, Arama, with your leadership, what are you doing? So it's like, I want to give people time to diversify before I throw diverse problems at you.
I don't know, like, you say that, my first thought would be like, my squad would go lead a fucking evacuation of critical sectors and whatnot, instead of actually trying to fight.
Okay, that could be interesting.
I'm sorry, I've been reading Codex Alera. I say reading. I've been listening to Codex Alera, and there's a lot of wartime stuff like going on in that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I've also got my own wartime influences we can talk about.
So it's like,
but yeah, there's a lot of.
But at the same time, a TIE bomber would probably kill the party real quick, at any moment. But
yeah, hyena. Proton bombs suck. Like, they have the big weakness that they have a special firing arc for down, so it's not like, if you're in a vehicle, you like, nobody can, like, do a sweet move and, like, drop a bomb on you, usually, unless they're a really good pilot, but on the ground, it's just like, or in ground vehicles, it's just like, yeah, you're just gonna get filled full of bombs, that sucks. So, that would be a thing to, like, set up a lot of stuff, and obviously, working through the vehicles, there's a lot of options we can have for, like, okay, so these are good, you've got anti-air stuff going on, and you've got vehicles to pick from. You can kind of pick your stations, and I need to read over the mass combat rules about, like, different opportunities and actions, because you've got leadership and you've got the presence. You would probably, like, lead a mass combat, but also there are, like, options for other characters to, like, take actions and contribute stuff, which would be important. If I was going to make it literally about, like, a big fight, like a big war fight with some setup, as opposed to just, like, oh shit, a bunch of bombers and escorts are attacking, and you're like, oh, well, we can all fly, or we can all shoot guns, so, like, a couple of us will jump in some fighters and take off, and others will, like, man the turrets and kind of thing. That kind of option. Part of I've been thinking about that is because a brief mention is that I finished the main story of Ace Combat 7 on stream. It was a little frustrating. There was a little bit of yelling. I think I got a little too big balls, and I picked some really fast, DLC planes, which really didn't work. I think the game wanted me to go a little slower, but it was... There might be some clumsy implementation of some things that I'm like, on the one hand, I understand you're trying to make me a skilled pilot. On the other hand, it's like, damn, dude, could you make this a little simpler? Because it's the way the physics are programmed, it's hard not to just slam into stuff and die sometimes. But because of that, I'm like thinking about a lot of high flying stuff,
Well, you've always had a love of fucking fighters.
Oh, I do. I love fighters. I at some point I'm gonna run my Starfighter campaign. My Wraith Squadron. But I'll get that out there too. The Clone Wars is another big one to like really tackle that one, because that's a very diverse. And honestly, the beauty of the Clone Wars, especially with all the source material seeing with the 2D cartoon and also the 3D CGI and all the other stuff, reading all the novels, I read a lot of novels set around the Clone Wars too, because that was after episode 2, that was a big multimedia push. Big push. But you see, there's a lot of different stuff, even in the movies, like in, Attack of the Clones, there's a space sequence, there's a couple of different ground sequences, there's Obi-Wan Space Detective, some of the best parts of that movie.
I liked watching Gendy, how they got sent to that fucking ice planet and they had to do a fucking spirit quest.
Yeah,
almost.
I don't know if you guys are going to do a spirit quest or not, but we've both established that neither of our Jedi characters have built their own lightsabers yet. They're still using obviously one of these a Padawan, but you're still using basically your loaner from the temple.
Yeah.
As part of your field promotion. So that will definitely be a thing. But again, that's one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to front load that too much because I'll have to figure out when and how. Will you guys literally go to Ilum and then it's or Ilum and it's what are your...
Honestly, I think
your clones do then? Would it be like that episode of Gendy Wars where fucking separatist evil robots attack the temple and they have to stall long enough for you to get your crystals?
Honestly,
you guys even want Ilum crystals because those are the default ones and there's a lot of cool fucking lightsaber crystals out there.
As I said, my major thought is if there's ancient ruins, we could literally just go down some ancient ruins and find some weird ass fucking crystals.
I've left some opportunities because there's a lot of fun elemental crystals and even some I wrote about I homebrewed permafrost and lava crystals, so that could be a thing.
Like I said, you've set up with this planet, you set up a lot of things that can be interesting. With cities, environments, ruins, ancient peoples. And I'm pretty sure as play goes on, we'll explore them and they'll develop each on their own. Maybe a little forced in some areas and maybe naturally in others.
Yeah, and that's the thing is Star Wars to me is ultimately a very pulpy action adventure story.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be pulp war serials we just did that. You guys crashed your space helicopter in the jungle and had to march, and you did really good at that. That was good for you. I softballed it a little. I let you use some assistance. But at the same time, it was I don't want to just completely destroy you yet.
Oh, yet. Hang on.
But also, there's other stuff where it's I like ancient ruins and cultures and fucking it belongs in a museum type shit. And there's a lot of fun scenes you can do. Like I've mentioned that, most of the planet of Sohaliv is lowlands. It's very swampy, very wet. Some areas are choked with trees, so they're very dense foliage. You can't use a lot of repulsor vehicles. Others are just glades of basically sawgrass, razor glades, or just open mud flats that are nothing is there. So that completely changes the terrain. Because on the one hand, man, you can move a lot of shit through open terrain. On the other hand, open terrain fucking sucks in war.
Yeah, you get seen easily, and this is how you get fucking mortar strikes.
Yeah, breaking line of sight is very important because that's how you avoid direct fire.
Or indirect fire.
Or indirect fire, too. But there's a lot of arty and a lot of big moving we can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I established that there are highlands, there are regions of, really solid rock formation, because I'm not a super expert in planetary geology, but I think that the way formation works is there should still be some, and there's probably lots of bedrock, way below all the other stuff. It's just the way the planet and sea level works out, it's very wet. Basically, almost think of it as how, based on geological evidence, we know a lot of the dinosaurid eras were, where sea level is way higher, ice caps are smaller. It's supposed to be a young planet going through a lot of complex stuff.
Hang on, I gotta copy this tweet. It makes me laugh every time. I've seen it before, but I've seen it again, and it makes me happy.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I like that one. But there are mountains and there are hardened formations of formerly geologically active rock. Gee, I wonder what happened to the geological activity on this planet. Do you think it's connected to that weird alien obelisk thing you found? Who knows? But so there's big blobs of basalt and granites in mesas and plateaus, which is its own fucking horrible thing to deal with, but that'll be great because at some point you'll have to scale one of those or something.
That's gonna be fun. I'm waiting for our fight with the Scorpicanda.
Yes, I have statted out a wide variety, and not all of them are evil. I realized that are there local riding animals? I'm oh yeah, there are. I statted swamp striders, so you can have.
I would like to make some friends with pets.
So you guys can have swamp horses, basically.
Is it right to set?
No, that's survival.
Oh, it is survival. Okay.
There are specializations focused on it, which let you do more fun stuff, but you can just roll survival to handle animals and ride them as basically a pilot skill.
This card, that's what fucking Jedi are. They're literally action archaeologists. They just have to get enough points into it.
Well, also, you say that. Discard is probably saying because there's literally an archaeologist specialization in Edge of the Empire, which nobody took, but is still hilarious. Or are you referencing the fact that the archaeologist I presented is not? I deliberately subverted the trope. She is not Laura Croft. Oh, that does remind me. A point I was going to bring up earlier about touching on themes is like one thing I didn't get to in the maybe because about the thing I'm going to talk about. One thing I didn't get to was I think I mentioned it in the description, but I didn't detail it. Is to talk about stuff that's like complex themes related to the Jedi Order. Is to talk about the Jedi Service Corps, because not every Jedi graduates to being a knight or a Padawan even. Like there are plenty of kids who are like adopted and trained by the Order, and they just don't have the potential or they don't have the willpower to do the real knight stuff. So the Jedi have this thing called the Jedi Service Corps, which includes stuff like there's a medical corps, there's an agri corps. There are like Jedi farmers.
That's cute.
You know, who go out and do basically what we would think of these days as missionary work. Mission work. They go out and they plant fields for refugees. They pass out rations. They do medical stuff. Doctors,
okay,
Jedi
so it ain't
Without
just
Borders.
a bunch of dudes sitting in an ivory tower. Cool.
No, they get out there in the world, but they're not badass space samurai. Is the thing. They are like they have a little bit of Force stuff. So I've mentioned there's a presence of them on Sohaliv, and so. I want you guys to maybe meet some quote-unquote Jedi farmers and Jedi doctors and even Jedi scientists out there doing research who maybe they have different character archetypes and kind of like interact with that question, because you guys are, well, at least one of you is explicitly a Jedi Knight. You have passed your test and you are out there on the front lines, but also you're out there on the front lines, dude. You're, like, will that be to see that interaction? How will Arama react to the idea that like, oh fuck, they're Jedi who don't have to fight anybody? But at the same time, they're not fight. Could they be fighting the good fight? It's always a good question to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it gives the clones something interesting, because I'm pretty sure the Service Corps, because they are not ranked Padawan and Knight, they're not part of the clones' command structure. So these are Jedi who aren't their bosses they can interact with, It's very interesting stuff. I think we've been talking about Star Wars for, about an hour.
Let's keep talking about Star Wars. I don't fucking mind. Fuck. As I said, like, I'm excited. Like, like I said, our big Star Wars Mayhem Squad game was probably one of my most memorable, even though I can't remember much of it, and enjoyable games I've ever played. So we're coming back to this with Blue Blood. Makes me very excited. Like, as I said, like I've always gamed with I've been gaming with Marth since I've known this group. So we're good with each other. And as I said, Axeloff.
Rise of the Separatists.
What?
Hold on, I gotta check something. I gotta check if Lancer droids are in the book, because I just saw that there's a reference that they are. If they are, then you guys are totally getting lanced.
Oh no! No!
You guys will be fine. That's melee stuff.
I still don't want it.
You don't want to be fucking Lancer charged by droids on motorbikes?
Not unless I get my own speeder and lance, and I'm good at it.
That's fair. Getting the speeder is pretty easy. The question is truly about the goodness. Which, hey, if you get some enhanced...
Or unless I can do fucking, Rey did to fucking Kylo's ship. Or some shit like that. That was pretty cool.
Honestly, listen, you got Breach 1. You do a little tuning on your lightsaber.
I'm definitely getting that fucking Force shunt. I thought that was amazing.
That gives you the ability to up your breach, but it makes you bad at combat checks, but better at cutting through obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty...
Actually, what was it? Let me see here. Let me open up the weapon list. Was it called Force Shunt? It was called Fusion Shunt.
Yeah.
It's
basically you get to overclock your lightsaber.
And that sounds amazing to me. And I'll probably still get the dual silicate chamber thing so I can swap crystals. Or not. I don't fucking know. This is another thing. As much as fun as weapons are to mod, lightsabers are just as fun to mod, and I have a blast.
And they do, in fact, have a lot of options to get in there, Mm-hmm. They've made it so that being a Jedi with a laser sword doesn't mean you miss out on all the cool gear porn stuff, which is a nice approach, I think, because you could obviously think that somebody being on brand and just having a bog standard lightsaber doesn't get to do all the fun things that you can do with designing your own tech. So no, you can. And honestly, there are a lot of little differences in lightsabers.
Yeah, interesting. I'm just looking at Fortune Shun. It's like, yeah, it's a super basic thing. It's HP 1, cost 2, rarity 6, and it has no mods. It's just like, activates a maneuver, +1 breach, but adds 3 checks on all combat checks. I'm just like, that can still be fun.
Yeah, I know. But also, like, I think the long form description is, like, it lets you cut through obstacles faster.
Oh, yeah, twice as fast, it says.
Yeah, so that's, like, it's definitely a thing where it's like, fuck, there's a door, and it's like, oh, man, it's a little thick, and you're like, but is it that thick? Is it dummy thick? You kick on your fusion shunt. And there are a couple of saber crystals which can let you get up to breach 2 already, so you could get as high as breach 3, which is real BS. But yeah, because of the way the damage system works, if you had a fully kitted out lightsaber, that's like 10 base damage, which means you can do at least 1 damage to vehicles, which means you can crit really easy because lightsabers love to crit. But anything that's armor like 0 or 1, you can reasonably damage a little bit, and a lot of small vehicles like bikes and other light speeders are really, really squishy in vehicle scale. Like, they are squishy enough that heavy personal weapons can damage them, and serious business vehicle weapons will fuck their shit up. Like, if you are in a speeder bike and a real tank shoots at you, if you actually get hit, your bike is probably done, but that is what happened when the equivalent of a motorcycle gets hit with a main battle tank. You stop. It stops working.
You might stop working.
You probably will. At the very least, there would probably be, I think, like, there's a rule if your vehicle goes, like, below its hull threshold, is you have to make, like, a crash check because it turns off and stops working. And small vehicles might catastrophically explode.
Oof.
Which is really bad for you, but it scares a lot of people out of doing spaceship stuff. No, I don't see it in this book explicitly. It's probably a minor mention somewhere. Or the Wikipedia was lying to me. I'll figure it out. I'll make it there. There'll be something.
Oh, geez. Cracked crystal is breach 2, but it might break.
Yeah, it's damaged. It's literally cracked. I don't. I'm
looking at all the
default one is. One of the ones I included in my homebrew set was the Coruscant gem, which are notably super hard. But that's also really expensive and would be hard for you to get. That's the thing I like about because there's a wide variety of kyber crystals you can put in your lightsaber in Force and Destiny. I like that a lot of them are like a quest unto themselves. Like the Crate Dragon Pearl, really, really strong crystal, loves to crit, has loads and loads of vicious and stuff, and a very high base damage to start with. To get those, you have to either be phenomenally rich or you have to fight a Crate Dragon, which is literally a giant sand dragon.
Sand Dragon! Oh, so I want the Sapith crystal, I guess. I would like Breach 3, for reasons. People asking for an Omega lore video on the Clone War. That's a lot of lore to talk.
Yeah, that is a lot of lore. Ooh, boy, that's gonna be hard to find. Sapith gems are, they're formed in, they're like pearls in that they're formed by biological creatures and then kind of fossilized, so that'd be pretty rare. You'd have to find, like, some kind of weird ancient alien vault thing.
Yeah, maybe on the world that has a lot of water. Maybe.
We'll see. I got some options.
This is the part where Lucky is just staring at Omega expectantly.
You don't want a lava crystal? You don't want to do random AoE damage because your lightsaber is made of lava? Much like the floor?
That sounds like the opposite of...
It does, unfortunately. It does. I did make an explicit note that, like, you can choose to give your attack, like, Blast 4 or something. You're immune to it. Your allies are not.
Yeah, what was the... Yeah, I want the fusion shunt, that crystal, and where was that fucking thing that lets you put a stun setting on your lightsaber? Can't remember what it was.
One of them. There's a couple.
It's like a dampening emitter or something?
Yeah, I think it's the dampening emitter.
Yeah, here it is, dampening emitter. As a mover, switch to stun damage. 1 on stun, reduce the base damage by 2, increase crit by 1, remove break. Switch it back as another maneuver. Mods, +2 stun damage. So literally you can just go click, and it's all like, it's my regular lightsaber, only it doesn't kill you.
Yeah, it damps down the emitter so it's more in the electroshock range. And there are certain lightsaber crystals which are just like EM emissions. And proper training lightsabers, which is usually what a Force and Destiny character can start with because they're cheap, are just stun damage. They're basically meant to simulate a lightsaber, but they do electroshock.
Zarp.
They do stunning.
Yeah,
no, we have not talked about Arknights yet. That'll probably be the next thing if we ever stop talking about Star Wars.
Okay, just for the fact that we can get to Arknights, let's stop, because otherwise I can keep talking about stuff.
We can't keep talking about Star Wars all day, but there are some things to talk about. All right, well, let's talk about Arknights. Let's make the clickbait in this title true.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that people watch episodes more if they include the word gacha in there, so I already decided what gacha-based title this will be.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. Hopefully I get to talk about the other thing, so I can call it If the Emperor Had a Gacha Game. But Arknights, it's happening. Stuff's happening. We got an event. Well, there's a lot of different things, and I should probably take the wheel here a little bit. But,
I'm at 3%, fuck!
Rip. I'm at 91%. And part of that's because I'm not even really fucking paying attention. I should try to farm less while doing this, but I am, so I will.
I've been on the Hokusai event scene forever now, because I'm only slow and going because we're Star Wars.
Right.
God damn it, Star Wars.
Yep.
I shake my fist. Alright, let me...
Hold on, I gotta switch my sitting position a little. Relax a bit. And hopefully my microphone still picks me up okay.
Alright, luckily I can control it from my computer.
Yeah. But yeah, so Arknights, doing an event, been playing it a lot. And... Well, so I'll start with an observation. So, because I'm newer to Arknights, there was a little bit of delay before I could get started, so I'm still learning a lot, and I acknowledge that I am, and I'm open to learn. And we've kind of talked about and even sassed a little bit about guides and stuff and going back and forth, right? You talked about this a lot on your latest FGO stream, so I don't know if we need to necessarily reiterate your opinions for the sake of time. There's a whole 3-hour stream you can watch.
Keck.
Lucky's pretty plain about it.
I am.
But, like I said, we've had a little bit of discussion on this and some stuff, and so we, and even you and I even talked about this a lot, like yesterday and stuff, to work through some things. Because, your general opinion is kind of like, work out at your own pace, figure out some stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
But also, to a specific question I had, I was like, okay, that's a little unhelpful, Lucky. You're not being any better than those guys who are just like, just use a guide right now. And you were like, oh, okay, I can help you out. And you did. Because you were able to actually practically show me some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Which is important, and I acknowledge that can be hard sometimes. But I've noticed that I think in our community, at least, we have two kinds of Arknights people.
Oh, I got through it.
One group of people is kind of like myself and Lucky. They don't know anything about Arknights, really, or they aren't too concerned with it. And they are also kind of just learning at their own pace, figuring out stuff. Working out things for themselves, which is nice and all. They're very sympathetic. They're not very helpful to me, but they're sympathetic at least. And I say they're not very helpful because mostly they're just as confused as I am half the time. That's natural. That's okay. But then the other people, and I'm not gonna call any shit out, but there are some people who went really whole hog on Arknights, before it came out, which I totally didn't because I didn't even know if I would be playing that game. They were like, they're the ones who did all the re-rolling. They figured out all the best units to take, and they watched all the guides about the stuff, and they looked at all the banners 5 million years ahead of time and whatever. And I'm like, and on the one hand, all right, that's neat. You have a lot of information. But because they are so well versed, it is sometimes hard to converse with these people about stuff just because they have a lot of knowledge levels and they don't necessarily know how to not really dumb down, but how to simplify and focus in on the stuff. Because me as a person, I am definitely better with specific information. And I'll admit, sometimes I'm a little contrary. If you tell me just to do something, I will be like, why though? And if you're like, just do it, I will be like, I will fight you to the death.
Well, here's something. It's if you truly want to teach someone, you have to be able to explain why you should do something, not just to do something.
Honestly, that's why I'm bad at math. I'm bad at math because math is a lot of abstracts, and nobody ever wants to tell you why something is. It's just, no, this is just how the math works. But I'm like, well, why? What? Huh? I can, and that's why I did good at probability and statistics, because those are based in real stuff. And simple arithmetic is okay, I can count to 4. I count 2 fingers, and I count 2 fingers. 2 plus 2 is 4. I really suck. If you just looked at my math scores for ACT and stuff, you'd probably think I was an idiot, because I did not do great at those. Well below average. Vocab and stuff, though, really high. Really good at reading and understanding. So, I'm not an idiot. I just, yeah, I understand that, Leert. I do that too sometimes, but also, I've talked about this with like FGO farming and stuff. I have a certain amount of tolerance for doing the same thing that hates me over and over again. So because Lucky, actually, to bring up a point back to you, and so you can still be part of this discussion. You and I have talked before about how failure is important. You have to learn from failure, and that's why like people should accept and learn from the past, and like you can't like hold past failures against people. They have to actually learn. But I was thinking about this last night. And
2%.
Rip. Failure is an important teacher. In some ways, it can be the only true teacher because you don't necessarily learn how to do something if you don't fail at it. That means that you had talent. You had inherent ability to do it and figure it out.
Or someone told you how to do it.
Or that too. Or somebody just told you. But like, if you don't do that, like if you just inherently do something the first time, you probably had some kind of inherent knack for it. But in order to learn from failure, you have to actually understand why you failed, which is
also true.
So I a lot of times in Arknights, I am still in that young stage where I'm like, I'm not sure exactly why I am losing, which frustrates me a little bit. And trying to get kind of specific answers out of people is sometimes a little hard because, like I said, I'm a week or two behind everybody. Arknights is a very popular discussion topic in our Discord, and Gacha Games is like constantly on fire about Arknights. So a lot of people in the community have built a lot of shared knowledge and language together that I am just not part of, and sometimes it's a little hard to talk to everybody about it, and it frustrates me a little. But I've been thinking about it and kind of after our discussion yesterday, I'm kind of like, no, okay, I see. I should be more clear about what I want, and like actually talk to people and be like, no, dude, I need and like with you, Lucky, I'm like, no, I need specific guidance to figure out because I did actually beat GT3. I have my first copy of Granny now.
Yay!
And you like watching you do it helped, not because I was able to mimic exactly what you did, but because seeing somebody else do it, I was able to think in a new direction that probably would have taken me a long time to figure out, and just pick up some basic stuff. And my setup was similar to yours, but not exactly the same, and just kind of figure out how to do what I want with the units I want.
Well, that's what my plan was. Is like I basically told you, you don't have the exact like levels and units I do, but maybe if you look at what I did, you'll see how things move around and how things can interact, and build your own like plan.
Yeah,
up
and
top.
like some of that's just basic. I was just getting creamed by not doing enough DPS to axe guys, and also I was not putting my rangers in good positions. They were just getting clattered by firebomb guys. Firebomb guys are still my enemy. I hate them so much.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better about not excessively placing units. Yeah, Leet's right. Molotovs are bad, Civ. But I'm getting better at figuring out when I have to place a unit to do something. Also, thank God that you guys did tell me about that voucher for a free 5-star, because
Project Red is great.
There's a lot of stuff they throw at you in a new Gacha game, and like because I wasn't part of any of that preamble, Lucky was like in before they didn't tell him. Omega says they didn't tell him about it. The way I phrased this was not exactly like this, but it was something to the effect of, I'm not going to say they didn't tell me, but I don't remember reading it, so.
Well, yeah, I was actually thinking about that. I don't know when they stopped advertising in-game the voucher.
Yeah, I don't know. And I don't think the game ever points out what the depot does, or if it does, it's farther than I am in the story, which is like 2-4, so.
I know it does, but I don't think it explains every
I don't think it makes you go into it, because I had never gone in
No, I know it does, because it makes you go pick up the credits for the credit store.
That's in the store, though. Depot is not the store.
Depot, I'm trying to remember what
Depot is your inventory, which is where you use the voucher from.
Ah. Yeah, no, I know I need to go into Depot, because it had a fucking, they have one of those notification symbols on it.
Well, yeah, it has the time clock. I picked Project Red because I really need that unit. She's really good. She solves a lot of my problems with the game. I think that's a little annoying that she, and I presume her 4-star counterpart, is it Gravel?
Yes.
I think it's Gravel. In the fast redeploy team. I feel a little bad that there's like 2 units who seem to be so clutch to this, but goddamn, it's just, I love that short repeat time. Throw Project Red in front of a big fat boy. She like stabs him half to death, and then she dies. And then by the time he actually makes it to the rest of your unit, she can come back and fuck that guy up again. Oh, it's so good.
Like, I'm not gonna say like this is necessarily on the fault of Omega or like this, or even that's the game side, but like because games are like this, you know, they usually do like poor explanations at like what like certain things means. I've gotten into the habit of anytime I get into a new game, I explore fucking everything.
Honestly, I probably should have, but I also started Arknights at a bad time because Setsubun was right around the corner, and I climbed that tower hard.
Yeah, I said that's the thing. When your focus isn't 100% on Arknights and you're trying to focus on, getting through story and whatnot, you might not think of those things. Which usually why tutorials exist, so they can like, hey, before like so you can like it'll tell you, hey, this is what you need to know. And
I picked up on stuff subtly. Like I advanced a lot in my base before the game made me like upgrade base stuff because I was like, I can do this, and I'm pretty sure it's important because I have played similar games, and I'm like, nah, I need some shit. I think I built the office, and the reception center before they told me to do them because I was like, oh, I can build these buildings. I bet that's important. Also, I knew the office was important because that's what you refresh tags because tags are hell.
Tags are hell. Like,
I got a special tag and it got fucking canceled even at 9 hours. I can't remember what it was.
Oof.
I don't remember.
I was mad because I got top operator and robot at the same time, and robot's almost the only way you can get the other robot.
Robot is only 2 stars, I think.
Yeah, so I was just like, ooh. See, X, this is what we're talking about. Like,
I don't know if you're the only one, Quicklies. I admit I could see why. I like it a lot because, like I've said, I'm easily tickled by squares and tactics and stuff, so it's fine.
Yeah, I like Terra Defense.
I don't necessarily, but I like the way that Arknights handles itself.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people who saw Arknights and went, it's not for me.
Yeah, and I was originally, I only got into it because of the aesthetics and actually seeing gameplay. But if it's not your thing, I know there are definitely people who do not like the gameplay genre. Mm-hmm. It's the same with, like, there's some people who don't like actually playing Azure Lane or actually playing Girls Frontline. Heck, I know there are some people who like to shit on FGO for how not deep the gameplay is or whatever.
Well, as I said, a lot of people, like most people, like in our community, are respecting the rule of if you don't like it, you don't have to go fucking like ruin everyone's fucking parade about it, though.
Well, also, honestly, there's no way you could fight the tide of Arknights right now.
Yeah, it's true.
Like we said, some people are super into it. So if you wanted to rain on their parade, it would be hard.
Yes, that's true.
And honestly, that's like before I was actually able to play and like to play. That's why I just had it muted because I was like. I don't want to rain on their parade, but also I'm just not following it. And sure, if I'd listened casually, because I did pick up some stuff by listening casually lately, I probably could have picked up some other stuff. But like I said, I have some real dumb boy questions. Like I literally had to talk to Lucky and be like, so healers do actually heal themselves? Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah,
I don't think I explicitly saw that before.
I
had to ask a question that was like,
because
you talked about in your like little setup that like when you promote, you kind of reset your levels when you go to like Elite 1 and 2 and kind of go up. Mm-hmm. But I had to ask him like, so because the event starts recommending to be at least a minimum like E1 level 1, I'm like, so just to be sure, resetting to E1 doesn't actually make you like, it's not like a prestige class thing. You don't get shittier. It's just so you can level again, right?
Yeah.
Which it is. It's basically like Ascension and FGO. You break your level cap and can go up more.
Yeah, also, quickly, that's totally fair, man. Some people just don't like tower defense.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of different gachas with a lot of different genres, and some people might be like, I like the aesthetics, I like the units, don't like the gameplay. Because it is still fundamentally a game, and if I didn't like playing Arknights, I would not be playing Arknights. I wasn't ready to get into it until I saw Lucky play it and was like, okay, I follow this. I actually do like this kind of gameplay a little bit. I'll try it. There's still a couple of things that they bother my tactical soul a little bit. I'm real flustered that they only give you 10 slots and they have like 50 million classes. I'm like, I want 2 of everything. Just to be safe, I'd love 2 people. Because if your name is not Project Red or Gravel, if you go down, you're done for, basically. Like, it's only in some of the really long maps that you might actually take that respawn timer down.
Well, you can actually see it happening in the map I'm playing right now.
Like, when I did beat GT3, like, yes, that one actually goes down. Where I lose at some point. I lose because I've run an autoplay a lot for them. Dem coins, though. Is it 12? I don't know. I can't fucking count. We just talked about how I'm bad at math. It's not enough because I know I literally can't. Because I have I don't have any. I have like 2 of almost everybody except guards. I have 1 specialist and 1 guard, and then I can't fit. I have no supporters right now. It's still there are more classes than you have slots to evenly divide.
I think it's one of those things.
Specialist Devilish is specialists are really unique, and I like that, but also it's part of the learning curve.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I think like this game specifically wants you to have flexible tactics and have a lot of leveled units, so you can just throw someone in whenever you need their specific niche.
Right, and you should adjust because, and sometimes it's hard to. Yeah, I think Axe has a point. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what people are talking about because in certain contexts, some units are really good and others they're different. Like, there's one of the currency farming maps, which is only you fight ranged units. It's basically you do ranged defense against drones. Well, if you're doing that, you better build a team that's only like caster snipers and healers and maybe some of those ranged specialists, you know?
Oh, there's Granny. Potential.
And I've also had to figure out, like, I will say it's a little unfortunate that the story is quite so baby tier, at least for a lot of the first chunk of it, because I'm like partway through chapter 2, and it's not really, now that I've actually leveled a shitload of people, and I have gone broke in this game, I spent all of my blue bucks. I got a lot back because it's easy, but I, burned through a lot of my cash leveling everybody.
Real talk. Yeah, you guys, you look on stream, you see I have 30k. I've already bought and spent all the event, the event,
currency, special coins.
Currency. For
Lungman dollars, make it rain.
Yeah, I spent it all already.
But yeah, so I got a little complacent, Yeah, I guess probably. Yeah, I could have burned through them easier, but I was taking it at a slow pace because I'm still farming FGO and stuff. But like I did have a lot of complacency. I was like, all right, throw Fang out. She's gonna generate DP in the corner, and I'll be fine. And then and some people may be like, Lucky did what?
What?
But I was like, when you deployed defenders first, and you only deployed defenders in that map, I was like, wait, that's a strategy that worked for you? And that is, in fact, how partially how I beat G2. I threw out Neural first to block that top corner, because there's not really a lot of problems up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was, my other main defender is Lisk, because Lisk is great. Liskar.
She is.
I threw her down to the bottom with some support and stuff. And, some rangers to get in there, and like I said, the Project Red oh shit button. And just be like, oh no, a meat boy! A meat boy is coming, I must defeat him. And then, sure, he beats up Project Red in like 2 hits, but he's also like half dead then, and then I can usually safely get a couple of healers. And now that I've switched to 2 healers, I'm like, oh man, 2 healers is real great. Yeah, that's... that bothered me about Girls Frontline too, and Arknights has that same problem, where depending on the day, you get certain... Actually... Azure Lane does that too, but it doesn't do it for currency. You just passively generate oil and coins. And honestly, pretty respectably generate oil and coins passively. By the way, we're not talking a lot about Azure Lane because nothing's happening right now. They're gearing up to that idol event, whatever it's called, where I'm sure we will all cry. There's a lot of gacha tears right now. There was a lot of talk about how in Arknights Scotty rate-up was a lie, because a lot of people rolled and did not get a Scotty. I didn't. Lucky didn't. There's only a couple who did.
I did get another Hoshigumi, and I'll be happy with that. And then I got top operator plaque and got Ifrit, so I am rolling in fucking 6 stars right now.
I'm not heavy on 6 stars. I got a lot of 5 stars, though. I got a lot of good units. Though that brings me to another point. Talking about how people talk about different effects for different things, I do feel like there's a weird part, and I don't know if it's just the way our community has been shaped, or how people overall talk about Arknights, because I don't know. Because I don't go anywhere else to talk about Arknights, but there seems to be a weird conflict about, because everybody always tries to talk about, well, I didn't Rogue Robin. Shank you very much. I would like a Horn Lady. Thanks, Leert. Leert's got it. But,
friendship that shit. Yeah.
But,
check out my Horn Lady. She got stressed 131%. Ooh.
But there is a weird thing I see sometimes where some people are like, oh, just use, you've got 3 stars, right? Everybody just use 3 stars. Just use Beagle, or just use Malanth, or just use, what is Bunny Girl's actual name? Is it Cruz? It's weird.
Cruz. You mean secretly scary closed eyes girl?
Yes, that one rabbit. Yeah. Malatha is in there, I know. But also, it's everybody I see has teams with lots of 5 and 6 stars, and they're super proud of rolling, so I'm like, is this just you guys have hardwired your brain on how to FTP or what? Because my understanding is because units come in basically types.
I mean, she actually does have a line of that why she won't tell you why her eyes are closed.
But there's definitely like, it feels weird to have this conversation because some people are like, oh, you absolutely need those units, and I'm like, so what about all these other units in this class of different rarities? And it's like, sometimes it's just like, well, we just don't talk about them. I've started getting the impression that in some cases people are talking about like classes of units. Like we talked about, there's basically 2 units who have the fast redeploy tag. One of them's Project Red, one of them's Gravel. I am assuming that functionally Gravel is basically just Project Red costs maybe slightly less, but does similar things because they have the same tag ability. There's fucking bag. There it is. Yeah, I know that feel. That's right. That's an accurate. Okay, so Gravel does slightly different things, but they have similar roles, right? Because they're fast redeploy. Presumably you're like, oh shit, throw them out there. Yeah. So there are units of similar types, like there are several guards who have multiple tiles of damage. There's different units like Cliffheart and Rope who can do pull. I've only seen Shaw who can do push, and I really want to level Shaw. I'm not sure when I'm going to use Shaw, but I like Shaw a lot.
You'll want Shaw for when you start getting levels with Cliffs and Boost, because Shaw can literally...
Yeah, Shaw pushes.
Shaw can literally push people off cliffs. And F-Eater, which you can get in the...
Yes, I am stockpiling, because I've already got a Kurora. So I'm like, I don't know if I really want to... I will at least first buy Feeder. So it's like...
I like fucking dummy thick panda iron.
Well, yeah, Feeder's great. She's one of the... There are a few Arknights characters I see a lot in art. Ami I see a lot because she's the signature character, obviously. And she's cool. She's a really good... I like that the game does give you her as a 5-star caster. And she's pretty solid in her job. I have several other casters that I don't know when I'll find a unit... When I'll find a map that I can only do with casters, but I'll find it so I can use all of those. Because they're cool.
Oh yeah, this is Crusoe's line. Why am I always squinting? Because I don't want anyone to see my eyes. Nope. Nobody. That terrifies me.
Because there's like... what's her face? Is it Kitano?
Yeah, there's Gitana. Who's the AoE caster?
Yeah, the other one. I got her also, but I don't have her leveled right now. So Lava stays in the team.
I gotta level Gitano, and I need to fucking level Earth Spirit. God damn it!
I have a pretty leveled Earth Spirit. I like
because here's like because
cool.
I like.
All right, I'll do that. Yeah, thick shield boars. I'll set up a team for that. I like Earth Spirit, voiced by our Lord and Savior Aoyuki.
Mm-hmm.
As a geologist, horn lady, I like Earth Spirit a lot. I've got a pretty high potential too. It's just while I like what at least that type of supporter does, the slow type, they are not necessary for a lot of maps. Sometimes they're good to stall down, but other times they're not. And everybody has loads of like I can see why they recommend stuff like I don't know if because I see a lot of my Arknights buddies using higher rarity healers, but I've also heard some people just say you can just use Hibiscus. I presume that's because you always get fucking Hibiscus. I'm covered in them. She and Beagle are now my main sources of green certs from spare tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just
by the way, do you exchange your extra tokens?
Yes, I figured that out, and so I'm stockpiling, which is good. I missed a chance to get Nightingale from the shop, but they've got some more new ones in there.
Yeah, like, that was something I had to figure out on my own. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah, I think they might mention... Oh, if you do max potential, you can tap the button in them to do that, but I haven't seen yet an explicit tutorial which is like, you got some extra tokens you can't use. Fucking Siege really bad. So, I was mentioning popular characters in arts. Neural is really popular, with good reason. She's great.
I'm so happy.
I made a meme about that, which I think I got that saved somewhere. I will post it for the audience, in case they didn't see it. And also, like I said, I am assuming that her name is just pronounced like Pearl, but with an N.
That's what I'm going for.
Because I checked her voice lines and I couldn't find her say her own name anywhere. That's at least something you can say for FGO, is that almost everybody introduces themselves. Here it is. I got Neural pretty early, which is good, because she's a big storyline character. But yeah, there's my meme.
Doctor. God damn it, it's in my fucking head now.
It's a great little Doctor collection. With lots of other fun stuff. But anyway, so Neural's very popular, and then it's mostly Siege, which is probably the memes because it's Ayako Kawasumi. And then Promanix because fluff.
I don't know. I've discovered that while Priamax may have the fluffiest hair, I have found the person who has the fluffiest tail.
Yeah, what's her name again?
Province.
Province.
If I wasn't in the middle of a fucking my Annihilation run, I'd show you.
No, I saw the art. It's just like I've said, the code names are a little weird. The operator names, like some of them are pretty easy. Like I can remember stuff like Silver Ash, Cliffheart. Cliffheart's great. I don't have a lot of use for rope ladies right now, but I will. I got a couple of those. I'll figure them out. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do, but I'm just trying to find like your First Blood team, basically, that you talked about. I'm trying to find a stable. This is a decent team who covers a lot of opportunities that I can just get in there.
Yeah, because as I said, that's what I like to do. Is I have my First Blood team, and I use that to basically explore what the map is, and then I start tweaking my team based upon what I find. So that's why I have like 2 Vanguards.
That's another thing that I had to learn. I had to. And admittedly, I did do the thing that I'm worried about doing drill plans, where I got bummed out, where I was like, "Oh, I beat the map, but I didn't really beat it. I just have to do it the exact same way."
Katatsu dokuda.
But I have realized that, man, I really just need to spend drill plans and practice the map first to get some fucking intel.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's part of, like I said, that learning curve. Just learning that no, you should actually practice maps and get used to it first.
Mm-hmm. Well, honestly, like that's the nice thing about Arknights is the first time you retreat from a map, it actually gives you a full refund on your sanity.
Yes.
And if you retreat later, it gets I think you only spend 1 total.
Also, I will say I'm still low enough level. A lot of you guys are super swole levels, but I'm still low enough level that if I do a couple of just regular maps that I can, auto deploy spam, I will level up and just get all my fucking sanity. I have like 1600 right now, and I actually played quite a bit earlier today. Like doing a lot of auto, because I beat GT3, I started doing a lot of auto runs to get those sweet, sweet coins. Because there's money in that store.
Oh yeah, and you're getting that 200 every day now because of the fucking event.
Oh, I'm ultra sane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sane right now. We already talked about that. It's hilarious that the AP mechanic is called sanity. Mm-hmm. And you get it back from eating like sugars and fast foods.
It's great.
But yeah, so Arknights, it's fun, but I have definitely said it's interesting because with FGO, we were right there. We were right fucking there when it started. Like, I was that guy who was super into it because I didn't think it was coming out in English. So when they announced it, I was like, oh fuck, I am here. This is gonna be my life now, literally. And kind of with Girls Frontline and Azure Lane, we both decided we wanted to try those out before they came out. So it's kind of interesting to be on the back, even if it's just by a couple of weeks, to see on the back half what it's like to not have been that enthused and just be honestly pleasantly surprised by the game. And like I said, I'm still a little annoyed. The game, obviously, like Rogue Ramen has said and I mentioned earlier, like the game is okay. The game would prefer you to fail in a map than to readjust in the mid map. Like a lot of it really, I think a lot of the game really wants you to, unless there are some maps like doing Annihilation maps. Those are endurance runs.
I'm doing one right now.
That's right. I got just under. I'm not quite sure why I collapsed, but I got just under 350 in Annihilation 1 earlier today, and I was like, oh damn it! I wanted to 2 more guys. Couldn't have killed 2 more guys, but no, it was. I think it was that's obviously when casters and fat boys come out. So I think I just got some of my range guys just got overwhelmed in my formation. I don't know if that means I need to like necessarily level them, maybe toughen them up a little. But yeah, it's one of those things where like no, the loop of the game is that you practice a map, possibly even using your drill things. You see what there is to see, and then if it kicks your ass, you do it again. But like I said earlier, I was still at a point with some maps where I'm like, I'm not learning anything from losing. I'm just losing. But I'm starting to grow out of that, which is okay. It's just it's really interesting to talk to people about it. Like I said, because a lot of people have a lot of knowledge, and some of it's just me. But sometimes it's interesting and sometimes frustrating to see how people convey that knowledge, because I'm like, I'll be real, we're recording a video that's going up on YouTube, it's going to be super long, and we're going to get lots of watch time out of it. I'm not going to shame anybody for their hustle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I understand how YouTube works and why there are probably really long videos about units and stuff. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that I've got the attention span to watch a lot of those videos and figure out all the units. I'm like, so there's definitely like some people are just like, oh, you should just watch why a unit's good, and I'm like, I don't want to. Like, oh, just use this unit. I'm like, I don't want to. No, I talk about that. I am a little bit contrary. If you don't explain why you want me to do something, I will just be like, no, you
Your mom.
Oh, you should take Neural out of your team. I will literally die first. Yeah, I know, Axe, and we've talked about that before with community stuff. I am usually I like to double check things. I like to be certain of things, so I can be inquisitive. But I probably should say that, like, yeah, I need specific advice, because sometimes some stuff's helpful and sometimes it's not, and some advice has only become helpful. Like, people did actually communicate to me some stuff I can do about Molotov guys, but at first I was like, this is not really helping me.
I love how Perfumer is just literally healing through all these guys. She's like, whatever, I don't give a fuck.
But then later, once I actually also did, like, some leveling and made sure I had my comp right, it's like, oh, okay. And also, you honestly gave me a really good tip about, yeah, that's a really good way to put it, Discard. I don't know what I don't know to know.
Well, like, I'm never against helping someone, but I am never a person who wants to give a person a direct answer. Like,
yeah, and I do that myself sometimes. Like, if I give somebody a direct answer, that's because that is a factual answer that I have just looked up.
I'm at
1% now.
No.
But I have learned through both academic life and the internet that, like, you don't want to say you're dead certain about anything, because that's not how shit works.
No. Because, like, and, like, the other half of that for me is, like, I don't know, this is, like, some old school, fucking, what's the word I want to say, that Spartan things, but I'm always of the opinion, if you just give someone an answer and don't explain, let them kind of figure it out on their own, they're not gonna, like, take the answer to heart. They're just gonna rely on that said answer and not learn anything from it. They just have like, why would they? They already have the solution. Like, so I'm okay with usually giving people pieces to the puzzle, but they have to solve the puzzle on their own. Which is kind of the reason why I told Omega that, he needs to, like, try things and figure things out. And then Omega was like, I am frustrated with this. I'm like, okay, now that I know that, maybe I should actually look at what's going on. And that's when I had to snap back at you. I don't know what the fuck you have, so I can't really do anything.
Well, and that's fair. And that's like I said, it's... Arknights has a lot of units, a lot of operators. And like I even said, can you even burn... Is there a storage cap?
Not that I see.
Do I have to... Yeah, so as far as I know, that number will only go up. So there's no cap. Okay, great. There's no real estate racket. I assume the racket is furniture you can only buy with Prime coins.
Actually, I haven't seen any furniture I can only buy with Prime coins. I know you can only buy some costumes with Prime coins, though.
Costumes with Prime coins. That's it. It's the other Azure Lane method. Nah. Though I'm a little sad. I didn't manage to, because Setsubun was in the way. I did not manage to get quite all the way through spending 11 bajillion sanity or whatever to get Amiya's skin, which saddens me. But I appreciate they have free skins.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Well, I'm making this over level for this Annihilation now, and I'm gonna abuse that fact.
Yeah, and I that's what I was talking about, the weird FTP matchup, right, Robin? Like, it took me a second to realize that people are, because we've talked about this with FGO, right? How to do FTP approachable, and a lot of our community is FGO centered. I feel like a lot of our guys specifically have this mindset of, like, well, I don't know what fucking banners you rolled on with your premium quartz shit,
Mm-hmm.
So I think at least in our community, we do have a lot of people who are just trying to be approachable and be like, oh, these are some FTP units. So it kind of took me a little bit to realize that in some cases they do specifically mean those units, but also a lot of times it's just a unit like them. Like, if you have nobody else, use this one. And it's like, and then there's sometimes where I'm like, what if I don't want to use Chris? What if I want to use Jessica? Because she's fucking adorable.
She is adorable.
And honestly, there's a little bit of brute forcing in this, I think. Yeah, Discord's got it. I don't have Jessica in right now because I'm using Shirayuki a lot. My starter 6-star was exercise, so if I need one, I apparently have a really good unit who's really good at SPS, single target SP DPS damage, rather.
I got a lot of cost points, I just realized. No, she went down! Damn it! I do not get 400 on this one. Rip. Will I get 399? I think I might get 399.
But, like, so I do have good units, but also obviously some people don't, so it's like, they can't necessarily recommend that unless I'm talking about it. Also, I'm not even sure how the funk to say her name. Is it XCI or X?
It's like Xisai.
Xisai?
Yeah.
I talked about that earlier. Sometimes their names are just awful. I'm like, the who, what with the what name? Yeah, Apple. I don't know why she shouts apple pie. Okay, that's fair. I can see that, Robin, where it's like, if it's hard to get mats for other people, it's okay. I don't know if I'm gonna.
God damn it! I got $3.99. That one dude. That one fucking dude.
It's always that one guy. What kind of guy was he? Which one was he? Which scrub lord?
I can't remember. It was just scrub lord. I think I just had too many fucking defenders.
Was he a robe scrub lord? Was he a crossbowman?
He
Those guys are shitters.
Nah, I think he was just a standard dude who I think I just had too many defenders.
He was just a bog standard fuckboy. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really derisive to enemy units, but that's because they're assholes. Have you seen them?
Like, I got 400 kills on like RNG, and I'm like, it fucking counts.
It does count. It definitely counts.
Yeah.
They're interesting. I think Tallulah's very anime.
I think my favorite of reunion is actually seeing Big Bob, and shit, you probably don't know that. Fuck.
That's okay. Everybody's already talked about how we fight him. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah, but Big Bob, spoilers, is fucking reunion, but he's not like fucking martyrdom.
He's not a lunatic. He's a big.
He's not a lunatic. He just wants to find a safe place for him and his brothers away from all this bullshit, which is why he's doing what he does. So that's why I like him.
Oh, that's always the most interesting ones. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of extra shit in Arknights that I'm not too deep in this. I'm not, all the way through the story that you can be yet and stuff like that. So there's still stuff to be revealed, which everybody should, watch out for.
Mm-hmm.
And not get too bold in your assumptions. But there's a lot of like real super try hard like I'm like, why they why you do this? I'm like, why did we have to cause a horrible meteor catastrophe? Because I guess that's a thing that happens if we just stop and hang out. We cause apocalypses. I don't know.
I got gummy.
It's bad. Well, I picked that up. I picked up this stuff shitty. Though, not that shitty, because the side story is set in a surprisingly nice area that's not on a weird city thing. Neat. Love to explore the setting. But, it's like, I'm not quite sure why you guys are quite so try-hard. I figured out that Ursus are kind of assholes. But also, why you be like this? Huh? Why you gotta be like this?
Gavel probably watches me when I sleep.
Also, this is a point that, like, if it's spoilery, but I thought that, people were animal people because of the infection, but clearly not.
No, they're just different nations.
There are just animal people. Got it. Yep. I can accept that, but also I was like, but why are they animal people? People are magic because they're infected. That's a different thing.
Alright, where did fucking Gavel go?
There's a lot of dudes like that in My Hero Dallas who are just animal people. Why are you a bird? Dallas even said, he's just a fucking bird.
Actually, where's Province? So I can... Okay, there's Province. Look at this fluffy tail!
Big fluff.
Big fluff.
But yeah, so it's like, they're cool. They're neat. I like them a lot.
She has a crossbow. She has a composite crossbow.
That's another thing. I think I talked about that in the off mic section, but we figured out why there are so few guns, because, apparently, like, there's a specific call that in a tutorial that, in order to do her job, Jessica has to use, like, Arundum-coated bullets or something, which are super fucking expensive.
Also, interesting enough, I just realized the snapper symbol is a fucking crossbow to begin with.
Yes, I'm assuming that's because it's easier for them to equip and arm them. But there are some, like, Jessica's got some guns. Apple Pie. She has a pretty bitchin' SMG. And yet, for some reason, her special attacks is 6 shooter. Yeah, Liskarn just has a gun. That's why I love Lisk. Because she can attack ranged units, and she's got extra tiles, which is great. When I'm doing Vanguard setups, I usually like to put, like Fang, up there, and then throw Lisk behind her and just be like, fuck you! I did that with Doberman, too. Doberman is currently my guard, because I'm not really sure who to do. Since Devilish did explain earlier, I will shout out that the reason why Melantha is good is because she just has really fucking high attack.
I like how everyone is, like, now saying different things.
Apple Pie. We're going with it. We'll roll with it. Like, I talked about this. The operator names are confusing. It's like, sometimes they're like Siege or Meteor. And then the other ones we got like Apple Pie herself or other weird names. Like, there's just one, the common, 3-star AoE caster is just called Lava. And I'm like, okay. I don't know why you're called Lava, but whatever. Lava, another common source of certs. because you usually when you proc the AoE tag, you usually get a lava. Sometimes you don't, but usually. Same thing with hibiscus. That's why I have a lot of orchid. What's the big lucky doing? Pause. So yeah, we could probably keep talking about Arknights for a while more, just because there's so many units to talk about and stuff. But I've just realized we're over 3 hours, and so we should probably roll that down here.
Yeah.
Because we can go a little over, depending on how much storage is a lie. The only other thing I wanted to talk about, I guess, in brief, was just that. So recently I got into If the Emperor Had Text-to-Speech, which is a kind of fan animation 40k thing, which is pretty old. They've been going for a few years. I can't remember what it was, but I just happened to see it and start working through it, because I realized that it was like an actual series, right? Not just like a meme thing, though there are a lot of funny jokes in it. So I worked through all of it, and they actually recently posted a new episode, which is really good. Had a musical number in it. That's great. Super cool. It's a very interesting series. If you're familiar with the 40k lore and haven't seen it, it's basically the idea is that the God Emperor of Mankind gets a text-to-speech device on his golden throne so he can talk to people again, and he has some thoughts and feelings.
I don't know too much about 40k lore, so I probably can't laugh too much about it, but I just love the concept of it.
You should. But that's the other thing, is if you're not super into the 40k lore, it's actually a really good way to get into it, because it's very self-aware and pokes fun at a lot of the old, dumb lore, because there's a lot of it. 40k has been around a long time, and there's a lot of dumb stuff that lurks in the back of codexes and stuff. But part of especially the early formatted videos, was the Emperor doesn't know what's going on in the Imperium of Man, so he asks his custodian, who's, looking out for him, like, hey, what's up with X? And then they explain stuff. So it's actually a really... Yeah, Discord has it. It's a really good way to get into the lore, and it actually really explains some stuff for better or worse, and, like, get a lot of lore, and there's a lot of cool flashbacks and stuff, and I like them a lot. So it's a very interesting series. They start out very short, but get longer.
Beast. PhD in Mun News said, what the heck is happening?
Well, Lucky just actually TTS to us.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Discord actually has a TTS system. Yeah. We just don't use it because it gets annoying because people abuse it.
Well, yeah, actually most people can't use it. I'm pretty sure it's only like us and mods can.
Oh, okay, cool.
To prevent people from being assholes with it, which I believe is a pretty common feature. But yeah, so Emperor TTS is a really funny series, and there's like lots of little specials and stuff. There's a lot of really cool music in it and some voice acting, and like I said, it's a really neat way to get into 40k stuff and kind of scratch my knowledge of 40k, because I'm passively mostly familiar with role-playing game stuff and some other stuff. I read a couple of the Caiaphas Cain, Hero of the Imperium, ! Novels, because those are kind of almost satirical. Lucky, do you know about commissars in 40k?
Ish.
Yeah, so they're the disciplinary guys. You usually see them yelling blam heresy. They're there to shoot your own dudes so they don't break ranks. Caiaphas Cain is a self-aware commissar. He's actually not a glory hound. He's a coward and doesn't want to die, but he constantly stumbles his way into being a hero, and it's great because his internal monologue is all, fuck dude, I just want to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to fight these monsters. Fuck this shit. But on the outside, he's like, yes, for the Emperor. Stand fast, men. So it's a really interesting. I've read some of those before because they were entertaining. But this has actually got me interested in reading more broad stuff, because I'm actually super interested in certain characters now. Like, the series really made me interested in the Salamanders and Vulcan. Vulcan lives, by the way. Stomp stomp. There's a lot of really great memes in here. Magic Pain Glove. So it makes me want to read a lot more and expand out there when I have time. There's a lot of books in 40k to read, but it's oh yeah, orcs are weird. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because that's the thing I've been doing a lot. That's really entertaining and just I liked it a lot. And we've casually mentioned 40k before, so keep an eye on it. So I think we can probably wrap the show up really quick here. Sorry about the sudden end, kids, but we talked a lot about a lot of our favorite things and some not so favorite.
No, I'm just thinking about the sound of music.
Yeah, a few of your favorite things. Anyway, so to go ahead and work through that, let's just go ahead and wrap up and say that, hey, you watch this video on YouTube, be sure to give it a like. And if you're here live, consider dropping in and giving it a like anyway, just to, keep our numbers up. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Or you can join our Discord. That link is always in the description of the video and on our channel page. if you had, you could have listened to this live, and you can listen to future public live episodes we do, because we will do some more. Definitely in another 25 episodes for Let's Talk FGO, because that'll be 150. And maybe if we cross, because we're coming up on 2,500 subs too, we're over 2,300, so that'll be another milestone to do. We like to just do these for big numbers and for big milestones, hang out with people, celebrate. If you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel to always get all the latest shows like What's Up, like our APs and other stuff we do. Flagship show, Let's Talk FGO, and more. Streams and stuff. Speaking of streams, consider the bell for notifications, even if you're already subscribed, so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream or anything like that, because sometimes Lucky decides to just stream.
I've been working on it, but my computer dies, my battery dies, everything's dying around me,
Lucky's
okay?
got a lot of power stuff. I didn't even mention, by the way, I did buy my new computer. It'll just take a couple of weeks to get here, but that'll be fun.
Weeks?
Yeah, it was standard shipping. I got it directly from Dell, because that was the
that's
cheapest, so
okay.
they were like, standard shipping, 2 weeks, otherwise you pay money. I'm like, I'm not going to pay money. It's not that urgent.
Cool.
I got a better deal out of it, which is the important thing. But yeah, I bought a new computer that'll be Windows 10 Professional with like more RAM, more storage space, kind of have the SSD to run some stuff faster. So that'll be interesting to do technical stuff. Maybe videos will get done faster and audio editing and stuff. And hopefully I have less resiliency problems with running basic programs. Maybe I can even, figure out how to stream from my computer more. And if not right away, I'm sure I can find software to maybe capture stuff off my phone too, so I can do some stuff. We'll figure it out. It'll be a learning process. If nothing else, it'll have more storage space and be faster. That's kind of why I decided to do it, which is just, the whole, no matter what happens, it'll be better than what I'm doing now kind of thing. But yeah, so look for streams and stuff in the future. I'm probably going to do the DLC for AC7 soon and then get started on Final Fantasy 12. Or maybe just jump to Final Fantasy 12, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts if you want to see me do more Ace Combat. And of course, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. You can get these episodes in audio format for as little as $1 a month, and downloadable and all that stuff, and other stuff too, and it really supports us. All right. Thank you so much for joining us live. If you did, thank you so much. If you watch this on YouTube, just thanks for watching in general. I don't own AC0. That's it. As you know, I don't physically own anything but 7. Anyway, it's me talking to chat. We're outie. Lucky, say something funny.
Pizza time.